Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto no longer being able to use Jutsu part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. On a bridge in Wave Country, a battle that would forever change the fate of a young boy was quickly drawing to a close. I don't understand. Is serving Zabuza the only reason you have to live? Yelled the blonde. Something other than being his tool. You could be acknowledged by someone else. The feminine boy shook his head. The day I met you in the forest, I knew you were like me. You should be able to understand, he said in a soft tone. I'm sorry that you will have to stain your hands. Is this really the only way? Naruto asked. Yes, was Haku's emphatic response. Please fulfill your own dreams. Naruto stared at the young man. Drawing a kunai, he strengthened his resolve. Looking back at the prone form of his teammate, he replied Sasuke also had a dream. Turning to face Haku again, he continued, if we met someplace else we might have become friends. Thank you, Haku said. You will become strong, he thought. As Naruto rushed forward with his kunai raised to end the boy's life, the sound of 1,000 birds chirping echoed across the bridge. A look of shocked realization flashed across Haku's face. Reacting with a speed born of training and honed by desperation, he deftly brought his left hand down and grabbed Naruto by the wrist. Huh! Naruto gasped. Sorry, Naruto-kun, Haku exclaimed while rapidly forming one-handed seals. I can't die yet. And just like that, he vanished into an ice mirror, leaving Naruto behind. What? Naruto yelled. Naruto's rage began to build as his mind raced. After all that he just left. Was it a trick? Was he just stalling? That bastard, he thought. Red chakra bursting from his small form, Naruto took off. Moving faster than he had ever moved in his life, he rocketed toward the scene of his sensei's battle against Zabuza. Kakashi dashed toward Zabuza, his Chidori engulfing his hand with electrical energy. Just as he moved to strike, an ice mirror formed in his path. From it emerged Haku, looking to shield his master with his life. In the instant before the blow connected, a red blur slammed into Haku. Blood flew through the air and lightning was discharged as a scream of torment rang out across the bridge. Kakashi could only look on in horror as his student writhed in agony, his hand buried to the wrist in Naruto's gut. Naruto, no! Kakashi yelled. Finally, in a flash of red light, the screaming stopped. For a minute the only sound heard was the ragged breathing of the combatants. Haku looked down at the smoking form of the boy. Shaking his head in denial, he muttered, No, this wasn't, I didn't mean. Jerking his head around, he stared pleadingly at Kakashi. He was not supposed to interfere. Why did he do that? It should have been me, he exclaimed. My future is death? Zabuza smirked. Heh. You're wrong again, Kakashi. Sakura peered into the mist, her senses alert for any indication of an incoming attack. Tazuna, the bridge builder, stood behind her, trying to see what might be coming. Both were on edge, not knowing what was happening to the other members of Team 7, grating at their nerves. As they looked on, the view began to clear until they could see figures moving in the mist. To their surprise, the mist dissipated just in time for them to see Kakashi with his hand wrist deep in Naruto's stomach. Kami no, cried Sakura. As they looked on with Naruto screaming in agony, the strange red chakra that enveloped Naruto started to pulse. The pulsing grew in strength until there was a flash of red light. When their vision cleared, they saw Naruto lying in a smoking heap at Kakashi's feet. What the hell was that? Exclaimed Tazuna. It shook him to the core to see the boy who until then seemed to burn with barely contained energy lying so still. Sakura was also in shock. Her teammate, who she had finally started to warm up to and maybe even respect, was lying so still. The sight chilled her to the bone. How could this happen? This can't be real. No. No, she thought. Her heart and mind raced until the stress became too much. She finally gave in and screamed, Naruto. Kakashi quickly put his grief aside and assessed the situation. To his left stood a seemingly shell-shocked Haku, while an injured, but still combat-capable, Zabuza stood a few feet in front of him. Weighing his options and deciding Haku was the bigger threat, Kakashi made his move. He turned and rushed Haku while launching a kunai at Zabuza. As Zabuza dodged the deadly missile, Kakashi's shoulder slammed the stunned boy in the gut, launching him over the rail of the bridge. I sure picked something useful, but the boy never could kill that soft heart, laughed Zabuza. Now copycat, let's finish this. Zabuza cocked his great blade over his shoulder as he ran at his enemy's exposed back. Hearing Zabuza approach, Kakashi narrowed his focus to his opponent. He leaped onto the bridge railing and backflipped over the Zanbato. The great blade tore through the rail like paper. The precious seconds it took the nuke Nin to recover cost him dearly. After grabbing two kunai in midair, Kakashi sliced the muscles and tendons in both of Zabuza's shoulders as he came down. Kubikiri Honcho slammed into the ground just as the one-eyed Nin put a kunai to Zabuza's throat. Sakura, take Tazuna and go check on Sasuke. Hi, came her choked response. Sakura took off towards the scene of Sasuke's battle with Tazuna in tow. Sakura reached Sasuke only to find his seemingly lifeless body. Multiple Saban needles could be seen sticking out from his still form. He's cold, This isn't an illusion, Sakura whispered. I thought I was so smart, but in the end I couldn't do anything. Tazuna saw the pain in the young kunoichi's eyes and could only turn away in sympathy. Don't mind me. It's best to just let it out and cry, he said. Sakura knelt by her crush's side with tears flowing down her face. You know, in school we learned the Shinobi Code. Rule 25 states that you must make the mission the top priority, and you must possess a heart that never shows tears. No matter what the situation, a shinobi must keep emotions on the inside, she explained. Sakura folded her arms over Sasuke's chest and proceeded to cry out her pain. Tazuna could only look on in bemusement and wonder at the harsh life of a ninja. Meanwhile, Kakashi could only wonder at the fate of his students. As he prepared to end Zabuza's life, he heard clapping from behind him. We are getting your ass kicked, how disappointing. So much for the bloody demon of the mist. You're more like a baby devil, laughed Gatu. Gatu, yelled Zabuza. What the hell are you doing here, and what's with all these men? Zabuza and Kakashi look at the small army of thugs blocking the bridge. Well, you see, the plan has changed, replied Gatu. Actually, I guess I planned to do this from the start. You see, you Nukenin are good, but you are too expensive. So I came up with a way to cut cost. I had hoped you would have killed the others, but I guess that was too much to ask. Now I'll just have to have you all killed. Where is that little apprentice of yours? I owe that bastard for what he did to my arm. Don't tell me he died already? I had hoped to kill him myself, after a proper beating, of course. The evil little man smirked. Kakashi whispered Zabuza, our fight is over. The little shit double-crossed me, so I don't owe him anything. Why don't you lend me a kunai and sit back while I settle up with the midget? Kakashi gave Zabuza a hard stare before he released him and tossed him his kunai. Zabuza caught the kunai in his mouth and ran towards Gatu. No one notices Haku climbing over the edge of the bridge. Just as Zabuza reached the bandits on the bridge, Gatu pulled out a crossbow and let loose at his former employee. Zabuza, unable to dodge due to his injuries and the press of bodies around him, took the bolt through his chest. Zabuza fell to the ground coughing up blood but still fighting to reach Gatu. Haku looked on in shock. He had heard everything on his climb up the bridge. All of their work, all of Zabuza-sama's sacrifices, and it was for nothing. Haku looked at Gatu with murder in his eyes. He would not let that little troll win. Oh, no, Gatu would lose it all this day. Haku quickly formed an ice mirror and transported behind Gatu. Pulling out a saban, he leaned over and whispered in the ear of the oblivious dwarf, "You will pay for harming Zabuza-sama, you little worm. Your life is now forfeit. See you in hell." With those parting words, Haku stabbed Gatu in the base of his skull, killing him instantly. This death was too swift for the likes of you, but I have more important matters to attend to. Haku then formed several hand seals and whispered 1,000 flying water needles of death. Water gathered in the air, forming 1,000 needles that flew through the air, impaling the thugs around his master. Everyone turned at the attack to stare at the furious shinobi. The mercenaries saw the body of their former boss and shouted in rage. One thug spoke up, taking charge. Hey! That bastard killed our meal ticket. Get that fucker. After we kill him and the rest of these damned ninja, I say we rape, pillage and slaughter our way through this miserable village till we've had our fill. The rest of the bandits yell out their agreement and split up. 20 of them rushed towards Haku while the rest head towards Kakashi and his students. Before the mercenaries get more than a few steps, a crossbow bolt whistled through the air, striking the bridge between them. Everyone on the bridge turned to see Inari flanked by all the men from the village. If you touch anyone here or come any further onto our island, the citizens of this country will stop you with everything we've got, Inari shouted. He was further backed up by a roar of agreement from the gathered men, all of them wielding various tools, spears and axes. The mercenaries turned around, having felt the temperature drop. There stood Haku surrounded by a multitude of wickedly sharp iced daggers. Realizing their severe disadvantage, the unofficial leader of the group said what they had all been thinking. Retreat! With this, all the bandits broke out of their stupor and fled, leaving a trail of dust in their wake. The villagers saw this and cheered. It looks like it's over. Kakashi turned back to see a smiling Sakura helping an injured, exhausted and very much alive Sasuke over to him. Tazuna stood by Inari, beaming proudly down at his grandson. Kakashi felt his relief quickly dissipate as he turned and looked at his third student. Naruto, gasped Kakashi. He quickly shifted to a businesslike manner as he turned to Sakura. Bring me the medical supplies now. He turned to Tazuna asking, is there a doctor or someone with medical training nearby? Before Tazuna could respond, one of the villagers forced his way to the front of the crowd. Let me see him. My name is Junpei and I have medical training. Junpei swiftly got to work checking Naruto over, doing his best to halt the flow of blood and stabilize his patient. After a few minutes, he sighed and shook his head. Turning to Kakashi and the two nervously watching Genin, Junpei could only reply, it's not good. I did what I could, but we do not have the facilities or the supplies to handle this kind of injury. Not only that, but he has a high fever and I don't know the cause. Maybe I can help, said a teary-eyed Haku as he made his way to the front of the crowd. I have medic training. Please let me help him. After receiving a hard look and a terse nod from Kakashi, the young nin quickly went to work. Kakashi watched him like a hawk as Haku channeled green medical chakra around his hands. Moving briskly and with assurance, the boy ran his hands over Naruto's belly. Having completed his diagnostic, he spoke while he worked. Naruto has lost a lot of blood. He has electrical burns on his intestines and a lacerated liver. I can fix this, but I'll need some blood pills for him and a soldier pill to replenish my chakra. Kakashi nodded and handed over the medical bag. Haku continued, the major problem is that he's suffering from a dangerously high fever that seems to be caused by some type of chakra poisoning. If he is kept cool, I can keep his temperature stable, but the rest is beyond what I can heal. To fix the poisoning, he needs access to a real medical facility, and someone more knowledgeable about this sort of illness than I am. Haku quickly completed his treatment of Naruto and turned to Team 7. I want you to know that I never meant for this to happen. You have my most heartfelt apology. My only wish was to serve Zabuza-sama, but in the end, I could not save him. Before he died, he told me that he always thought of me as a son. He told me to find a reason to live. I wish to atone for our actions here. That is why, with the permission of the villagers, I wish to stay here and make amends. Saying this, he turned and bowed to Tazuna. I would like to stay and serve as a medic and if necessary protect this village with my life and penance for the crimes we have committed against you. I can only hope that Naruto-kun would approve and maybe we can be forgiven. Everyone gathered looked to Tazuna for his response. After staring grimly at the young man for a moment, he spoke. I suppose that is possible. But understand it may be a while until we trust you. Haku smiled. I understand. All I ask is for the chance to make things right. Team 7, Haku, Tazuna and his family returned to Tazuna's home. Haku tended to Kakashi's and Sasuke's injuries. Kakashi then asked for a report of the events of their earlier battle. After listening to details from both of the young nin, he dismissed Sasuke to get some rest. Kakashi and Haku then went to check on Naruto. So Haku, what is Naruto's status? Questioned Kakashi. I was able to heal most of his injuries and bring his temperature down. When he wakes, he should still rest for a few days before getting up and nothing strenuous for at least another week after that. There is, however, something that concerns me. During our fight, Naruto drew on this strange red chakra. While working on him, I noticed a seal on his stomach. The seal has taken damage, most likely from your lightning attack. Kakashi started at this information. Haku looked worriedly at the one-eyed nin before continuing. The red chakra appears to be the cause of his chakra poisoning, and the seal seems to be source. Thank you for telling me, Haku. At this, Kakashi leaned over Haku and stared him in the eyes. Now I must ask that you avoid mentioning the red chakra again. This is an internal matter that will be dealt with by Konoha. Having said this, he backed off and nodded at Haku. I appreciate your help in taking care of my student. Both nin turned as Sakura opened the door to call everyone to dinner. Dinner that evening was subdued. Kakashi had filled everyone in on Naruto's condition. Team 7 made plans to leave as soon as the bridge was completed, as they wanted to get Naruto to Konoha as soon as possible. Tazuna promised to have construction finished in a few days. After dinner, while everyone retired to their beds, Kakashi stayed behind to compose a report to the Sandaime informing him of recent events. Having completed his task, he summoned his fastest Niken with instructions to take the letter directly to the Hokage as fast as possible. As he looked up at the moon, Kakashi sighed, hoping that the Hokage would be able to set things right and that his sensei could forgive him for nearly losing his son. Hours before dawn the following morning, the third Hokage awoke to scratching at his window. Getting to his feet, he headed to the window surprised as he recognized one of Kakashi's Niken's summons. Having received the report, he thanked the dog and dismissed him. Knowing it must be important, he swiftly read the report. Shaking in fear and barely containing anger, Sarutobi quickly strode to his office and pulled a scroll from a hidden compartment in his desk. Swiping blood across the seal and channeling a bit of chakra, a small toad appeared in a puff of smoke. Forestalling any questions, Sarutobi hurriedly exclaimed, "Find Jiraiya and have him to return to Konoha immediately. Tell him I said that if he wastes time we may very well lose Minato's legacy." As the toad summons dispersed, Sarutobi could only think to himself that their troubles were only beginning. 4 days had passed since the events on the bridge and everyone had been busy. Haku had buried Zabuza and tended to Naruto. Tazuna hurried to finish the bridge under the watchful eyes of Team 7 who, when not guarding him, were training under Kakashi. However, everyone was concerned about Naruto, as he had shown no sign of awakening. That evening, Tazuna announced that the bridge would be completed the following morning. Kakashi had Sakura and Sasuke start packing while he consulted Haku about preparing Naruto for travel. The next day, Haku, Tazuna and his family all gathered at the edge of the bridge to see the Konoha nin off. Naruto had been wrapped with a sheet containing ice packs provided by Haku. He was then bound to Kakashi's back for the trip. Tazuna stepped forward and looked at Naruto one last time. He bowed his head and said, "This is sad. Thanks to you, we completed the bridge, but the price was almost too high. I offer my super sincere apologies for lying to you and I hope that boy recovers. The people of Wave can never fully repay you for what you have done, but you have our gratitude." Tazuna stepped back, putting his arm around a crying Inari. Haku stepped forward and bowed. "I wish things were different, but the past is done. From now on I will serve the people of Wave Country and try to atone for my and Zabuza-sama's actions. When Naruto recovers, tell him I'm sorry and that I hope he fulfills his dream." Having finished, he returned to Tazuna's side. Team 7 turned and began their journey home. As the group watched them go, Tazuna remarked, "That boy changed Inari's heart, and Inari changed the people's heart. That boy gave us a bridge to hope called courage." Inari turned to his grandpa and asked, "Oh yeah, we need a name for the bridge. What do we call it?" "Well, I have a super perfect name for it. In honor of his sacrifice and in hope this bridge, like that boy's resolve, will never crumble. How about we call it the Great Naruto Bridge?" Everyone agreed that it was the perfect name. The journey home for Team 7 was a quiet one. Naruto's injury had cast a pall over their victory. The two younger nin had realized that the life of a shinobi was uncertain and that they were not as invincible as they thought. In the meantime, Kakashi reflected on the job he had done as their Jounin sensei. He couldn't help but think that he hadn't adequately prepared them, and that maybe he should have done more to train them individually. The teamwork exercises he put them through were all necessary, as they needed to rely on and protect each other. Though they showed potential, he could never get them to mesh perfectly. However, in hindsight, maybe he had been too focused on the team, and not on their individual growth. Kakashi resolved to correct that as soon as possible. Sakura was worried. While Naruto wasn't one of her favorite people, she didn't want him to get hurt. Sure, he was a pest and got on her nerves, but he was her teammate. Now here he was injured and not waking up, and it left her feeling surprisingly guilty. She had never treated him very well and often hit him for petty reasons. He just made it so easy to lash out at him. He never tried to stop her or even defend himself. Though she would never say it aloud, Naruto's constant attention always made her feel better about herself. This was especially true when Sasuke had spurned her advances. Sakura could only pray that the blonde goof would be okay. This mission had shown her more about shinobi life than any book could prepare her for, and she was beginning to think that maybe she wasn't quite ready. As they ran along the road to Konoha, Sasuke thought about his team. Kakashi had shown that he was indeed a formidable ninja, even if he was a lazy pervert. Sakura was just as useless as always, but that was no surprise. No, the one who surprised him was Naruto. His strategy against Zabuza to free Kakashi, being able to match him to learn tree climbing, and finally beating that fake hunter Nin Haku surprised him. Naruto was shaping up to be a much better ninja than he had given him credit for. This left Sasuke feeling unsettled. He was beginning to feel a certain bond with the blonde dobe, and he wasn't sure what to do. After his brother killed their clan, Sasuke had vowed to kill him at all costs. Before, he had always felt that the other genin were weak and would hold him back, but now he was starting to wonder if maybe in Naruto he had found someone he could measure himself against. Sasuke turned to look at Naruto's still form strapped to their sensei's back. He silently hoped the idiot recovered. He would hate to lose the one person he could consider a rival. A slightly weary Team 7 reached the gates of Konoha a day later. Kakashi led his team up to the two Chunin guards. Team 7 checking in. "We have one injured and will be going to the hospital," Kakashi reported. "Could you send a message to the Hokage and let him know we have arrived?" One of the Chunin nodded after checking their credentials and waved them through as the other raced off in the direction of the Hokage tower. Team 7 made their way to the hospital. Once there, the nurses quickly got Naruto checked in and into a room. Having gotten his students settled in, Kakashi dismissed his other two students, telling them to get some rest. "There will be no missions until I speak with Hokage-sama. In the meantime, if you want to train, I can make arrangements for you." Seeing the uncertain look on Sakura's face, he told her, Ma, don't worry. I'm sure Naruto will be fine. I'll let you know as soon as there is any news. Get some rest and I'll see you both tomorrow." With that, Sasuke and Sakura left the hospital. As they were about to part ways, Sakura turned to Sasuke and asked, "Sasuke-kun, do you really think Naruto will be alright?" Sasuke paused for a moment, then replied, "Kakashi-sensei said he'd be fine. Go home. If you're that worried, then train to get stronger so you can actually contribute to the mission next time." Sasuke turned and headed home, leaving a hurt and guilty Sakura behind. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the Hokage had just reached Naruto's room. He checked with the nervous doctor who had been treating the boy and could only give him disturbing news. "Hokage-sama, based on what Kakashi-san has told us and the preliminary test, the boy's fever is being caused by a constant influx of its chakra. It appears the seal has been damaged, though to what extent I cannot say. Unfortunately, the problem cannot be corrected medically. Only a seal expert would be able to correct the problem. All we can do is keep his temperature at a manageable level, and even then, if something isn't done soon, he'll likely die of chakra poisoning." Upon hearing the news, Sarutobi's visage became grim. He thanked the doctor before ushering him out of the room and locking the door. After quickly scanning the room, Sarutobi activated a privacy jutsu. He turned to Kakashi and with a stony look said, "Now report. Tell me exactly how this happened." Kakashi stood at attention with an expressionless look on his face. He related the events of the mission, omitting no detail. After listening to his report, Sarutobi glared at the elite Jounin. "First, let me say, considering the circumstances, your team did well. Defeating an A-class missing Nin and his protege is no small feat. Having said that, your profound lack of judgment disturbs me. You should have returned to the village upon uncovering Tazuna's deceit or at the very least requested backup. That you did neither and left the decision to continue on to your students makes me question your fitness to lead a genin squad. That said, I agree that freeing the people of Wave was a worthwhile endeavor. The Hokage sighed. Beyond that, when you became injured in your fight with Zabuza, you still refused to send for aid. The training you gave your squad should have been completed before they ever left Konoha. While I understand your reasons for focusing on teamwork, it is obvious that neither Naruto and Sakura were sufficiently skilled to handle the situation. Had this been a normal C-ranked mission, then I could overlook the lack of individual training. That you continued on with the mission knowing the extent of their deficiencies. Sarutobi shook his head. Very well. Report with your team tomorrow at the tower. I will consider what to do with you in the meantime. With that dismissal, he watched Kakashi leave the room. Turning back, Sarutobi asked seemingly to thin air. So did you hear enough? The air distorted to reveal a large white-haired man wearing garb reminiscent of a kabuki actor. I don't know, sensei. While I can't really fault him on trying to get them to work together, the fact is he neglected their individual abilities. Jiraiya turned and began examining the comatose boy. A few minutes passed as he stared intently at the seal on Naruto's stomach. The damage to the seal is irreversible. Sarutobi's eyes widened. Is there a danger that the 9 tails will be released? I don't think so. Minato's design was and still is the most brilliant sealing work I have ever seen. What's left of the seal seems to be keeping the beast locked away. The problem is the portion of the seal that drains its chakra into Naruto's coils has been damaged. I don't think I can totally stop the flow, but I think I can come up with something that will minimize the amount of pure demon chakra in his system. If I can do that, he should be able to adapt and cope with what leaks through. Sarutobi was relieved that Naruto would recover, but he couldn't help feeling concerned. Would the demonic chakra influence Naruto in any way? He questioned. As much as I care for the boy, I can't risk the safety of the village. If he gives into the Kyuubi, it won't matter if the seal contains it. He could very well become a big enough threat himself. Jiraiya started to protest but hesitated. While Naruto was his godson, he owed it to Minato to make sure his sacrifice wasn't in vain. Give me 2 days to research the seals and come up with something. I have some ideas, but I need to check Minato's notes and do some calculations. Climbing out the window, Jiraiya looked back at his former teacher. You just keep the vultures away from my godson. Kami knows what they will come up with when word gets out. Thinking for a second, he continued, don't be too hard on Kakashi. As much as he's responsible for this mess, I can't bring myself to condemn him for his actions. We all know he has his issues and he meant well. Maybe this will shake him out of his preoccupation with the past. With that, Jiraiya disappeared. Sarutobi stood gazing at Naruto for a time. I hope he's right, my boy. I hate to think we could have let Minato down this badly. Sarutobi then left the room to prepare for the firestorm the news would bring. The following day was as stressful as Sarutobi had suspected it would be. Word had spread about Naruto being injured. Though he was able to keep the fact that the seal was damaged from the general population, he could not keep the information totally contained, which is why he found himself in a meeting with the 3 people he least wanted to see at the moment. While he still liked and respected his 2 former teammates, Hamura and Kahaku, too often he found them on the opposite side of village issues. This was especially true when said issues involved Konoha's resident Jinchuriki. This being said, Sarutobi had no doubt they had the best interest of the village at heart. The third person in his office was a different story. Danzo may have cared for Konoha once, but Sarutobi was beginning to suspect that the village had begun to take a backseat to the man's own ambitions. After some brief small talk, Sarutobi decided to get to the point. I suppose you are here because you have heard news of Naruto's injury. At the abrupt change of conversation, Hamura adjusted his glasses and then spoke. Yes, it is true. We are concerned, Hiruzen. As you know, we were never in favor of Uzumaki being able to leave the village, and now with the damage the seal has sustained, it is of utmost importance that we find a way to deal with the situation. Understand, while we have no animosity to the boy, we believe it is vital to the security of the village that he be protected. Just think, things could have been worse. If another village gained control over him, or Kami forbid he was killed, the Kyuubi could be released. We have to be certain that he does not pose a threat to the village. We no longer have the yondaime to deal with the beast. Kahaku added, Yes. It is our recommendation that Uzumaki be stripped of his ninja status and be confined to the village. We cannot risk the consequences should the worst happen. Continued Hamura. Sarutobi stared at the 2 for a moment before turning to Danzo. Well, I suppose since you're here you agree with their assessment? Questioned Sarutobi. To his surprise, Danzo merely shook his head. No, Sarutobi, actually I believe the boy could be an asset to the village with the right training. Danzo replied. It was a mistake to entrust the boy to Hatake. Uzumaki needed a firm hand and discipline. If he recovers from this, then give him to me. I'll turn him into a shinobi that will have our enemies trembling in fear. Otherwise, should the seal be damaged beyond repair, or he prove unstable, then simply eliminate him before he becomes a problem. The third slammed his hand on his desk. I've told you before, Danzo. I will not have that boy or any of my ninja turned into emotionless weapons. That particular subject is closed. As far as Naruto being a danger, Well, should it become necessary, I will do what is best for the village. However, I won't needlessly sacrifice the boy. I will reserve judgment until I hear from Jiraiya. Turning to his two friends, he softened his demeanor slightly. In regards to your recommendation, I will take it under advisement, but, as always, I will make the final decision. Now, if that is all, we will bring this meeting to close as I have much to do. Having said this, he dismissed the three obviously unsatisfied advisors. At least that's over, he thought. Now if only Jiraiya can help the boy, things can get back to normal. Only a few hours had passed when the remainder of Team 7 entered the Hokage's office. Sarutobi took several puffs of his pipe as he considered what to do with them. As you know, Naruto is injured and has yet to awaken. However, we are confident that he will soon recover. At this, Sakura let out a sigh of relief, though she was still concerned. If the Hokage said Naruto would get better, then everything would work out right. Now, after giving it some thought, I have decided against assigning you any missions. Instead, I believe your team should use this time for individual instruction. At this, he glanced at Kakashi, who could barely suppress a slight wince. Your sensei will use this time to bolster your strengths and help to minimize your weaknesses. Once Naruto recovers, you will have a week to readjust to being a team while Naruto receives additional training as well. You may then be assigned missions should your sensei deem you ready. Sasuke was looking forward to the training with anticipation. While it was good to hear Naruto would recover, he could not deny being excited about being trained by the elite Jounin. Without the dobe and the fangirl, his strength would definitely increase. Sakura, on the other hand, was not so thrilled. While she did not have a problem with receiving training, if they were trained individually, that might cut into her time with Sasuke. Hi, Hokage-sama. Team 7 replied. As they prepared to leave, Kakashi saw the Hokage motion him to stay. Turning to his team, he gave them their orders. Meet me at Training Ground 7 in 1 hour. Hi, Sensei, came the Genin's reply. The Jounin closed the door after they left, and turned to face his commander. You wish to see me, Hokage-sama? Kakashi, I'm giving you another chance. These children need you to prepare them for their lives as shinobi. If you fail as their teacher, it's not just a black mark in your file. As you have seen, your actions or inactions have consequences. At this, Kakashi bowed his head. I know you have issues with your past team and I understand. However, your current team needs you now. Give them the tools they need to survive and grow to be proud Leaf Ninja. I know you have what it takes, or I would never have trusted you with the Genin squad, let alone the last Uchiha and Konoha's Jinchuriki. Now go and prove to me my faith was not misplaced. Listening to the old fire shadow speak touched something in Kakashi. He would not fail again. He would mold his students into strong ninja. The potential was there, he just had to bring it to the surface. He owed it to all those who died so he could go on, he owed it to his team, and most of all he owed it to himself. I won't let you down, Hokage-sama. I'll do what I can to put the past behind me. I owe it to Naruto if nothing else. I know you will, my boy. Now go. Hi, Sarutobi smiled as he watched Kakashi leave. The boy's will of fire had nearly been extinguished after all his personal tragedies, but this was just the wake-up call he needed. Now if Jiraiya could just repair the seal, things could improve for everyone involved. Sakura and Sasuke were speechless. Kakashi had given them an hour to be at the training ground, but they assumed he would show up a few hours later. Needless to say, they were astonished to see their sensei waiting patiently for them as they arrived. Kakashi smiled at the two young men before adopting a serious expression. Have a seat and we will get started. After they had seated themselves, he bowed down in front of them, shocking his students. I owe you two an apology. It was my duty to see that you were prepared for any mission we undertook, and in that, I failed. Naruto was injured and you could have been killed due to my negligence. For that I beg your forgiveness. Sakura, seeing Sasuke silently watching the Jounin, decided to speak for them both. Please, sensei, we forgive you. Kakashi smiled at his student as she pulled him to his feet. Once again adopted a serious expression. From now on we will do things differently. From this point on, I will try to be on time. You will be receiving individual instruction that's tailored to your strengths while improving your weaknesses. Sasuke, upon hearing this, smirked while glancing at Sakura. Kakashi, noticing the unspoken insult, turned glaring at the boy and continued, and believe me, you both have weaknesses. Sasuke was transfixed by his sensei's glare, and could only look away. He scoffed, more to salvage his pride than any real desire to argue. Kakashi rose and created a shadow clone. Both Kakashis looked at his students before one took Sakura and the other took Sasuke. The one with Sakura walked over by the bank of a river cutting through the training ground. Sit down, Sakura. We need to talk. Sakura sat with a look of concern marring her features. Sakura, are you serious about being a ninja? Of course, sensei. Why? Kakashi held up his hand to silence her. Sakura, I'm not asking you this lightly. You are a brilliant girl and have the potential to be a first-rate kunoichi, but I don't feel that you are applying yourself. This crush you have on Sasuke is absorbing too much of your attention. Right now, your main focus should be on getting stronger to survive what will come your way. Not only that, but because of your need for acceptance from him, you are alienating your other teammate. Sakura looked at Kakashi with tears in her eyes. I don't mean that you have to give up your feelings for the boy, but from now on, While training and on missions, you need to focus on the task at hand. Leave romantic notions for your time off in the village. If there is a disagreement, I hope you would side with who you feel is truly right and not Sasuke just because you want him to notice you. Having listened to her sensei's words, Sakura's face turned red in embarrassment. Up until now, that was exactly what she had been doing. Like the decision to keep going to Wave, she had let her own misgivings fall to the side so as not to hinder Sasuke, who wanted to continue. And of course, anytime he and Naruto argued, she unerringly jumped to agree with or defend the object of her affections. Kakashi relented after seeing the look of misery on the girl's face. Look, Sakura, I'm not telling you this to hurt your feelings or make you feel weak. You have seen how missions can take a turn for the worse. Sometimes the only thing separating you and your team from failure or death are the skills I will be teaching you. If you neglect your training, then how can you hope to protect your team and accomplish your mission? I may not have been the best sensei, but I'm trying to change that. I have faith in you, Sakura, and I promise to help you become the strong kunoichi I know you can be. Hearing her teacher's words of encouragement went a long way towards pulling the girl out of her depression. Do you really think I can be that strong? That I can be a good kunoichi? She asked hesitantly. I know you can, he replied. I won't lie to you, it will take hard work. Some days you may even hate me, but if you give me your all, I will help you get stronger. Would Sasuke or Naruto do any less? Hearing mention of the two boys awoke a feeling in Sakura that had only previously applied to her rivalry with Ino. A passion and will to succeed that burned in the girl's emerald eyes. Looking at her teacher, who was offering her everything that first made her want to be a ninja, there was only one thing she could say. When do we start, sensei? Meanwhile, Kakashi's talk with Sasuke was not going as well. Sasuke, your biggest weakness is your arrogance. At this, the young genin frowned. Kakashi continued, you underestimate the strength of your teammates and overestimate your own. Yes, you are talented, but don't be so quick to dismiss what your team has to offer. Not even your brother got to where he is alone. He had the help and support of the people around him. Sasuke tensed and glared at the mention of his brother. Yes, I know about what happened, and I know that it is your brother you want to kill, but right now you are a genin. You don't have the strength or the experience to take him on. Hearing this caused Sasuke to scowl at his teacher. You know nothing, the Uchiha yelled. I will kill him for what he did. No one can stop me. I am an avenger, Kakashi sighed. That is exactly what I mean. Sasuke, you are too aggressive and overly proud. Sooner or later you will jump into a fight you cannot handle, and the only goal you will achieve is your death. Learn to ask for help, learn to work with your team, but most of all learn to control your anger. Listen to me and you will achieve the strength you seek. Kakashi could see the various emotions playing across his student's face. Anger, frustration, pride, and finally acceptance. If you're willing to listen, Sasuke, I'm willing to teach. And with that, Team 7's training began. Later on that evening, the Hokage was just finishing up the last of his paperwork and preparing to retire for the night when his former student climbed in the window. Damn it, boy, what have I told you about that? Exclaimed the Hokage. Heh, sorry, sensei, but I'm glad I caught you. Jiraiya chuckled. I believe I may have found the answer to our problem, but I'm going to need some assistance. I'll need a medic on standby, and if possible, I'd like to have a Hyuga to monitor his coils and the use of the sealing chamber. If you can get everything ready for tomorrow afternoon, I can make the additions to the seal. Sarutobi puffed on his pipe and thought. That is good news. I'll send word to Hayashi. I'm sure he will be willing to spare one of the branch members to aid us in such an important task. Yeah, I'm sure, and his assistance won't even cost you that much, will it? Came Jiraiya's sarcastic reply, leaving Hyuga generosity on the side. I've come up with a patch to the seal. As I thought, it won't be able to totally suppress the Kyuubi's chakra, but it will minimize it, allowing Naruto to function. His body should adapt to its presence in his coils. The only problem is that it may still be possible for him to draw on the demon's chakra, so we have to make him understand the dangers. Should too much demonic chakra enter his system, it will poison his body, making him sick and eventually killing him. Aside from that, there is no danger of influence from the beast or its chakra. His mind will not be corrupted, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm relieved to hear you say that. The clan heads will be as well, I'm sure. Jiraiya turned to go but paused for a second. You know, I just may stick around for a while. It's past time for me to get to know my godson. Maybe I can teach him a few things. On that note, the Toad Sage leaped out the window. The following afternoon was busy for everyone. Team 7 started their new training regiment. Kakashi was every bit as demanding as he had claimed. For Sakura, there was physical conditioning to increase her speed and stamina. There were also exercises to increase her chakra reserves. Along with that, Kakashi gave her some scrolls on genjutsu theory and application. After she finished with those, he taught her 3 genjutsu to practice. While this was going on, Kakashi was putting Sasuke through what he liked to call anger aversion therapy. This mostly consisted of taunting the boy until he lost his temper, then giving him a thorough beating while he was blinded by his rage. Kakashi figured eventually he would realize that his anger and aggressive attitude made him sloppy and misjudge his opponent. Of course, Sasuke, being who he was, took some time before the lesson managed to sink in. The overly proud Uchiha went home with plenty of cuts and bruises from his sensei's object lessons. Meanwhile, the Hokage and Jiraiya were making arrangements to repair Naruto's seal. Sarutobi reserved the sealing chamber and called in a medic from the hospital. Luckily enough, one of the doctors was a Hyuga and, with Hayashi's consent, was more than willing to assist the Hokage and one of the legendary Sannin. Yukari was a calm middle-aged woman with her hair wrapped in a tight bun. She exuded an air of competence and compassion seldom shown in the proud Hyuga clan. Once all the preparations were complete, Naruto was transported to the sealing chamber, stripped to the waist and laid on a section of the floor surrounded by intricate seals. Jiraiya had everyone back away while he drew several seals and designs around the Hak no Fuin Shiki on his godson's belly. After he was done, he turned to his mentor and said, "Well, here goes." The Toad Sage went through multiple hand seals and upon finishing, channeled chakra to his right hand. Without warning, he swiftly brought his hand down on the damaged seal. There was an intense burst of light as Jiraiya's chakra flared. The seals on the young genin's stomach began to shift and realign until there were two triangles interlocked to form a six-pointed star surrounding the Hak no Fuin Shiki. At each of the points were 4 kanji. The sage turned to the Hyuga nurse and with a slight edge of fatigue asked her to examine Naruto. Yukari activated her Byakugan and checked on her charge. The doctor proceeded to give Naruto a thorough examination. After several tense minutes, she turned to Jiraiya and the Hokage and gave her report. The seal has had some effect. His coils are no longer flooded with the demonic chakra. His chakra has reasserted itself into his coils. However, it is strange. As she looked at her leader, the Hokage gave her a nod to continue. While most of the chakra in his system is his own, there is a thread of the demonic chakra flowing through it. What makes it unusual is that his chakra seems to be surrounding the demon chakra and acting as a buffer to minimize contact between it and the rest of his system. Having heard this, Jiraiya let out a relieved sigh. Seeing everyone stare at him, he gave a slight chuckle and explained. "That's what I was hoping would happen. Since the section of the seal designed to contain the Kyuubi was relatively undamaged, I meshed a containment seal with a limiter seal and added in some chakra channeling and recognition seals, then tied them to the base seal. As you heard, there will still be some demonic chakra flowing through his coils, but with the new array, the seal uses Naruto's chakra to act as both an inhibitor and buffer for it. This will minimize the interaction of the demonic chakra with his system." The Sandaime looked at Jiraiya, a pensive expression. "Could you have fully blocked the Kyuubi's chakra from entering his system? Wouldn't a modified 5-element seal been a more secure choice?" The Sannin thought for a moment before replying. "I considered it, but it was too risky. As a possible side effect, it could have cut Naruto off from using his own chakra, and without knowing how that would affect the seal, I didn't want to take the risk." Jiraiya gave an internal sigh of relief at seeing his teacher accept his explanation. "I'm not going to rob Minato's son of the chance to fulfill his dream. Besides, the boy is strong enough to keep the beast in check. He has too much of his father in him, not to mention his mother's stubborn streak," he thought. The old man studied his former student while he was preoccupied. "I'm not so easy to fool as that, my boy," he thought. "I understand why you did it, but I hope to Kami you know what you are doing." The Hokage turned back to the nurse and asked, "How much of the fox's chakra is in his system?" Yukari took a second look. After a brief pause, she stated, "I would estimate about 15 to 20% of the chakra in his coils is demonic, Hokage-sama. Will he recover with that much still in his system?" Sarutobi asked in a worried tone. "I believe so, sir. There are already signs that his body is healing from the overexposure. The most reassuring being his fever lifting. Though he needs to be kept under observation, I hazard to say that the crisis is over and he should soon recover." The old fire's shadow gave a weary nod. "Thank you, Yukari-chan. Now let's get the lad back to the hospital. Please keep me informed of any changes in his condition. Jiraiya, go get some rest. Once I get word, then I will send for you." With that dismissal, everyone left to await the time when the child's condition would change. Naruto awoke in a wet and dimly lit corridor. "Damn it, that hurt," the young shinobi exclaimed. "Where the hell am I? Kakashi-sensei? Sakura-chan? Team? Is anybody here?" Naruto turned as the ghostly echo of a laugh reached his ears. Seeing no one around, he figured he would check it out. He followed the sound until he emerged into what appeared to be a vast sewer chamber. The floor was flooded and pipes ran overhead. Oddly enough, there was a giant cage set into the far wall. Naruto peered into the darkness of the cage when suddenly two enormous red eyes appeared and a gigantic clawed paw shot from between the bars. Naruto fell back into the murky water, narrowly avoiding being crushed. Beneath the glowing eyes, a huge malevolent smile grew. Humongous fangs that looked perfectly capable of crushing little ninja bones gleamed in the meager light. "Come closer, little ninja, and I want to eat you, but this damn seal is getting in my way," rasped the Kyuubi. "That red chakra was you," exclaimed Naruto. The Nine-Tails let loose a bone-chilling sinister laugh. "That's right, boy. You took what was not yours, so I gave you more than you could handle. That is why you're here now." Naruto looked on in confusion at the Kyuubi. "What the hell are you talking about, you stupid fox? You have nerve, boy," roared the demon fox. "In your fight with that ninja, you took my chakra, so I gave you more than you could control." The fox chuckled. "It would have been amusing to watch as you went berserk. But I didn't count on you being an idiot. Hey, watch it, Fuzz, but remember who you are speaking to, fool." roared Kyubi, releasing a wave of killing intent. I was slaughtering your kind since before your grandfather's grandfather was born. Yours will be the first life I claim once I escape. Yours and all those in that pitiful village. No, whispered Naruto. What was that, boy? Naruto looked up at the fox, a look of determination in his cerulean eyes. I said no. I won't let you. I'm going to be Hokage and protect everyone in the village. And as for me stealing your chakra, well, you're staying in my body, so you should pay rent. The Nine-Tails laughed. You have guts, little ninja. Very well, since you amuse me, I'm going to give you a little gift. At this, Naruto heard the sound of stones scraping against metal. Looking up to find the source, he saw red chakra flowing from the Kyubi's cage. The red chakra surrounded and merged with some of the pipes as they shifted slightly until a pipe ran directly into the cage. There, now leave. I grow tired of your presence. With this, Naruto seemed to fade away. The Kyubi retreated into the depths of his cell. What will you do now, boy? Will you give up or will prove your words? Show me your resolve. With that, the demon fox curled up on the floor, waiting for the next bit of entertainment. Naruto groaned as he woke up. He looked around and saw white walls with a curtain blocking his view of the rest of the room. His moaning alerted the nurse on duty. Looking in to see him awake, she sent a message to the Hokage before checking on her patient. How are you feeling? She asked. My head hurts a bit, but I'm fine. Where am I? Naruto responded. You're in the Konoha hospital. Just rest. Hokage-sama should be here soon. With that, the nurse retreated to her station. Naruto lay in bed for a while before he heard the soft swish of robes headed for his room. The door opened to reveal the Hokage and a large man with white hair. How are you, my boy? You gave us quite a scare. I'm feel fine, old man. Hey, what happened? The last thing I remember is fighting this ninja named Haku. Naruto replied. You were injured in your fight and your team brought you back. Seeing the worried look on the boy's face, the Hokage hastened to reassure him. Your teammates are fine, but your seal was damaged. We needed to repair it before the demon's chakra could hurt you. I would like you to meet my former student, Jiraiya. He is the one who fixed your seal. I'll let him tell you about it. Naruto turned to stare at the other man. How you doing, kid? Let me introduce myself. The big guy then proceeded to do the strangest dance Naruto had ever seen. I am Mt. Myobokugama's Holy Master Sage, also known as the Great Toad Sage. Remember it. Naruto turned to look at the Sandaime with squinted eyes. Is this guy for real? He asked the Hokage. Sarutobi could only shake his head at his pupil's antics. Jiraiya jumped in. Hey, I'll have you know I'm a seal master who just happened to have trained the Yondaime. The boy's head whipped around after hearing mention of his hero. Seriously? Naruto asked. You bet, kid. Now calm down and let me tell you about your new seal. With that, Naruto pulled up his shirt to check out the new seal. What happened? Naruto asked upon noticing the additions. During your fight, you got in the way of your sensei's attack. The part of the seal that drains the Kyubi's chakra, purifies it and adds it to your own, was damaged. Your body was flooded with the fox's demonic chakra and it was poisoning you, so I added a secondary set of seals to help keep the demonic chakra in check. You with me so far, kid? Yeah, I think so. So the fox is all sealed up, right? Well, that's the thing, kid. The fox can't get out, but I could keep all of its chakra out of your body. You will always have some of it going through your chakra coils. What? He yelled. Jiraiya clamped his hand over the boy's mouth. Keep it down, Gaki. We are in a hospital. Look, the amount of demon chakra in your system won't be enough to hurt you. Your chakra keeps it from messing with your system too much. You should be alright. You sure? Naruto asked nervously after the sage released him. Yeah, but if anything happens, tell the old monkey over there and we'll take care of it. Naruto snickered while the Hokage scowled at the comment. Anyway, we just need to get you checked out, then you probably want to see your team. That pink-haired girl and your sensei have been asking about you, along with that Chunin with the scar who works in the Hokage's office. Sakura-chan asked about me? Really? Yeah. And from what I hear, your sensei has really been working them into the ground. I think he blames himself for you getting hurt, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto whispered with a hint of sadness. At that moment, the doctor walked in. After greeting the Hokage and Jiraiya and introducing herself to her patient, she proceeded to check Naruto over. After a few minutes, she pronounced him physically fit. Yukari then asked Naruto to mold chakra. She activated her Byakugan while Naruto formed the Ram seal and channeled his chakra. A violet-tinted blue flame of chakra appeared around the young nin. Yukari made a few notes on her pad before telling him to stop. Hokage-sama, with your permission, I'd like to have Naruto perform a jutsu so I can monitor the effects of the demon's chakra on the outcome. The Sandaime nodded his agreement, while Jiraiya looked on in interest. Naruto, I would like you to henge into the Hokage, please. As Yukari looked on with her Byakugan active, Naruto went through the hand signs while molding his chakra. What happened when he released the jutsu shocked everyone. There was a bright red flash and 2 cries of pain. Yukari squeezed her eyes shut in pain while pressing her palms to them. The intense burst of red chakra had overloaded her jujitsu. Naruto collapsed on the floor screaming and convulsing. Jiraiya rushed to the boy's side yelling for a medic while the Sandaime checked on Yukari. By Kami! Exclaimed Jiraiya. Naruto, what happened to your eyes? Where once Naruto's eyes were a vibrant blue, they were now a brilliant violet, and his whisker marks had darkened as well. Geez, kid. It just never stops with you, does it? Joked the Toad Sage. This is no laughing matter. Make sure the seal is secure. Yukari, when you can, check for any change in his chakra. Once they had both been checked over and recovered, the Hokage asked Yukari for an explanation. Well, Hokage-sama, may I run one test before I give you my opinion? After a moment of deliberation, the Hokage agreed. Turning to her patient, Yukari pulled out a small seal cover rod. She explained, when Naruto channels chakra into the rod it should glow. Naruto, please channel only a very small amount of chakra. Naruto grasped the rod and hesitantly and channeled as small an amount of chakra as he could. The rod glowed brightly, but otherwise nothing happened. The Hokage turned to Yukari with a questioning look. The medic proceeded to explain, based on Jiraiya-sama's previous description of how Naruto's seal works and my own observations with my Byakugan, this is what I found. When Naruto molded his chakra the first time, he expelled the chakra flowing through his coils. There were no adverse effects because up until the chakra left his tenketsu, his chakra still acted a buffer to the Ninetales chakra. The same thing happened when he channeled chakra into the rod. The only side effect seems to be that the demonic chakra added to his own makes the total mixture far more potent than normal. However, it appears Naruto does not truly have control over the demonic chakra in his system. He can only use his own chakra as a guide to channel it. When Naruto molded his chakra for the jutsu, his chakra was stripped away from the kyubis. Once it was no longer acting as a buffer, the demon's chakra then built up, overloading the jutsu and causing a backlash that causes immense pain and convulsions by stressing the chakra coils and damaging the nervous system. The overload released a temporary burst of the fox's chakra in Naruto's system. That was the red flash we saw earlier. I believe this is what caused the change in his eye color and darkening of the marks on his cheeks. I would hazard to say the stronger the jutsu, the more powerful the backlash. The stunned trio looked at her with expressions ranging from sadness to confusion. What does that mean, Yukari-san? Naruto asked. The medic could only give the blonde a look of sympathy and compassion. I am sorry, Naruto, but it means that you can never perform a jutsu without serious risk of injury or even death. Naruto froze upon hearing her diagnosis. Never use jutsu? But, what will I do? How can I be a ninja? The Hokage moved to comfort him. Naruto could only hang his head. Never again could he use jutsu. No more Kagebunshin. No henge. Nothing. Could he even be a ninja without it? Jiraiya looked at his godson and felt pangs of remorse and sorrow. This was his fault. If he had found another way. Hell, if he had been there for the kid at all, would he have been better prepared? Better trained? Would any of this have ever happened? Jiraiya watched as Naruto sat there, his hair hiding his eyes. The Sandaime stood with his hand on Naruto's shoulder, trying his best to be there for the boy. Suddenly Naruto clenched his fist. I don't care. The three adults looked at Naruto quizzically. Even if I can't use jutsu, I'll still become Hokage. I'll just have to find a way to do it without jutsu. The boy leaped to his feet, passion burning in his eyes. I made a promise to protect all the people who are important to me. I won't let them down. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage of Konoha. You better believe it. The three older nin could only stare in wonder. Only minutes after being told of a handicap that would have sent most shinobi into a deep depression, the diminutive blonde not only bounced back but also declared his intention to become the strongest ninja in the village. What was so surprising was that when he said it, they could not help but feel as if he just might be able to accomplish his goal, just like his old man. Jiraiya thought. Minato, you would be so proud of your boy. I swear before Kami to do everything in my power to help him reach his dream. Sarutobi Hiruzen often spoke of the will of fire that all Konoha shinobi possessed. However, he could honestly say he had never seen that flame burn brighter than in this young man. The boy had a grit and determination that rivaled any the old fire Shadow had ever seen, and if he could take this kind of setback in stride and keep on going, then Hiruzen would be damned if he'd let the fools in this village hinder the boy any longer. Yukari, how much longer would you say before Naruto fully recovers? Sarutobi asked the medic. Physically, he seems to be fully recovered, but with all that has happened I would like to keep him under observation for another 2 days. Naruto hearing this started to pout. But I'm fine. Besides, I need to start training if I'm going to take that hat of yours, old man. Naruto, listen to me. I want you to do exactly what Yukari-chan tells you. In 2 days you will come to the Hokage Tower where you will be briefed. If you fail to obey orders there will be dire consequences. Do you understand? Seeing the seriousness in the old man's demeanor, Naruto knew that this wasn't the time for argument. Hi. I'll behave. Good. Jiraiya, follow me to my office. We have much to discuss. On that note the two elder nin left the room. Naruto could only sigh and wonder what would happen next. Once Sarutobi reached his office he sent a Chunin to find Kakashi and have him report to the tower with his team. Sarutobi seated himself behind his desk and pulled out his pipe. Jiraiya leaned against the wall and looked out the window overlooking the village. Jiraiya smiled and addressed his teacher. Kid is growing to be one hell of a man, eh? Sarutobi puffed contentedly on his pipe before responding. That he is. That is exactly why we are here. I have an idea. That boy damn near embodies the very principles this village was founded on, and to let that kind of fire die by locking him up would be a travesty. He turned to his pupil. We are going to turn that boy into the great shinobi we both know he can be. There was suddenly a knock on the office door before he could continue. Iruka poked his head in the office. Team 7 reporting as requested, Hokage-sama. Send them in. Iruka, you stay as well. I want to speak with you all. Sarutobi stated. Kakashi strolled in, reading his book, trailed by a ragged-looking Sasuke and Sakura. Seeing the condition of the two exhausted genin, Sarutobi knew that Kakashi had taken his words to heart. Iruka followed them in, closing the door. After they were seated, the Sandaime addressed them. I have called you here to give you news of Naruto's condition. Upon hearing this, they all perked up and paid closer attention. Naruto has finally woken up. He is in good condition and is waiting for you to visit in the hospital. Kakashi and Iruka both smiled at the news. Sasuke hid a slight smirk and Sakura grinned as she wiped a tear from her eye. Iruka could no longer contain himself. So when will he be able to leave the hospital, Hokage-sama? They would like to keep him for another 2 days just to be certain he is fully recovered. The Sandaime saw their joy and hated that he had to take that from them. However, there is some news you will not like. At this, Iruka and Sakura frowned. Sasuke schooled his face to a black expression and Kakashi put away his book. The Hokage continued in a more official tone. I regret to inform you that, as of this moment, Uzumaki Naruto will be removed from Team 7 and taken off the active ninja roster. There was a shocked silence before Iruka burst out. But Hokage-sama, why? Hiruzen could only sigh. As a result of his injury, Naruto no longer has the capability to perform jutsu. As such, I feel it would be in his best interest to refrain from taking missions. Since Naruto is no longer active, he cannot remain on Team 7. All four were stunned. Kakashi felt as if he had just been punched in the gut. He had failed. Because of his mistakes, one of his students would no longer be able to continue their ninja career. He could only hang his head in shame. Iruka felt his heart break for the boy he considered a little brother. He had seen so much potential in Naruto, and now it would never be fulfilled. Sakura couldn't help but shed tears for her teammate. Naruto may have been a loudmouth goof, but Sakura never met anyone more determined. She could not imagine what this would do to him. Sasuke scowled. Sure, Naruto was a bit of an idiot, but he had come to respect the blonde boy. Sasuke could not imagine what he would do if he lost the ability to use jutsu. To see his ambitions crumble before his eyes would be too much to bear. He felt that he had lost not only a potential rival but a potential friend. All four sat in silence with their thoughts weighing heavily on their minds. The Sandaime gave them a moment to process the news and their feelings before continuing. Maybe it would be good for Sakura and Sasuke to visit Naruto. Kakashi, Iruka, I need to speak with you on a related matter. The two genin excused themselves and made their way to the hospital. Kakashi and Iruka looked expectantly at their leader. Now I want you both to give me a full and unbiased opinion of Naruto's shinobi skills. Both of them were surprised to say the least. Hokage-sama, but I thought Naruto was leaving the ninja corps? Iruka asked hesitantly. They were caught off guard by a laugh from Jiraiya, who they nearly forgot was in the room. You boys need to pay more attention. He said Naruto was being taken off active duty, not removed from the ninja corps. A light of comprehension dawned in Kakashi. Maybe there was hope for his student yet. Iruka, please humor an old man. The Hokage could still see the confusion on Iruka's face. He looked to Kakashi, who nodded in understanding. Well, Hokage-sama, I'm not familiar with his current skills, but from what I recall from the academy, Naruto, well, he may not be the greatest ninja, but he has a lot of potential. His stamina is astounding. His strength was above average while his speed was average. His chakra control was poor, as was his general knowledge. He also lacks focus when it comes to things he does not like or believe important. I wish he had spent more time studying than pulling pranks. The Hokage turned to Kakashi. Do you agree with Iruka, Kakashi? Kakashi took a minute to compose his thoughts. Finally he spoke. While I do not necessarily disagree with Iruka, I believe he may have overlooked some things. As you know, Hokage-sama, I was fully briefed before becoming Naruto's sensei. There are things I have noticed that may have slipped by someone less observant. Kakashi smiled while Iruka bristled at the slight dig. Naruto may have been a prankster, but in his own way I believe that was a form of training. The other three listened with interest as he continued. When he is focused and not showing off, Naruto has excellent stealth skills for a genin. He is also more observant than people give him credit for. Those same pranks show a rudimentary skill for tactical planning, and I personally have seen an innate talent for on-the-fly battle strategy that should be encouraged. Kakashi looked at the ceiling while scratching his chin. His biggest problem is that he has an idea of what is important as a ninja and he ignores everything else. If you could get his to put a fraction of the dedication he has to learning ninja techniques into his basic studies, you would see a big improvement. Like most genin, he saw ninja life as a game or an adventure, though I doubt that's a problem now. Sarutobi could only nod his head in agreement. He had suspected much of this himself. He looked to Jiraiya to see if he had anything to add. Well, I read the boy's file and I think Kakashi here missed some things too. Now it was Iruka's turn to smirk while Kakashi stared heatedly. I think that anybody who can learn a Jounin rank in Jutsu in a couple of hours with no help has no problem with learning from a scroll. Like anything in life, it's just a matter of gaining his attention. The Sandaime looked at the two and smiled. Iruka, I am going to tell you what I believe Kakashi has already figured out. I have no intention of preventing Naruto from being a shinobi. However, I cannot allow him to perform missions in his current condition. Having listened to your evaluations, I have decided to arrange an assessment test for Naruto. Based on what I find, Jiraiya and I will put together a training regimen that will improve Naruto's other skills. Not every ninja needs jutsu to be capable. It won't be easy and he will need your support, but that boy is determined to be Hokage and I want to help him get there. Besides, the sooner he does, the sooner I can get away from all this paperwork. They all shared a laugh at that. Iruka was relieved. Things were better than they seemed for his troublemaking little brother. Sakura and Sasuke stood outside Naruto's hospital room. The walk from to Hokage Tower had been silent. Both genin were in a somber mood as they contemplated their teammate's situation. Sakura steeled herself and put on a happy face as she knocked on the door. Come in. Naruto called out. Sakura opened the door to see Naruto sitting in bed looking out the window. She entered the room with Sasuke a few steps behind her. I'm glad you're feeling better, Naruto. We were worried about you. Sakura saw the boy smile as his eyes lit up. It was only then that she noticed a change in his eye color. Naruto, what happened to your eyes? This caught Sasuke's attention as well. Sure enough, where Naruto's eyes were once a brilliant blue, they were now a vibrant shade of violet that practically glowed. Naruto could only give a sheepish grin as he nervously scratched the back of his head. Oh well, I had a little accident with my chakra and this is what happened. Sasuke was intrigued. He had never heard of anything like that. What the hell were you doing, Dobe? And what happened with your chakra? I'm not really sure. They were testing my chakra to see if I was healed from when I got hurt. There was an accident, and that's it. Sakura looked at his face. It looked like he was hiding something. That's when it hit her. Hey Naruto, the Hokage told us about you not being able to use jutsu anymore. Does it have something to do with that? Yeah, I think so. Naruto was quiet for a second before his face brightened once more. But I won't let that stop me. Just watch. I'm going to be the greatest Hokage ever. Sasuke had enough. How could that idiot be so cheerful when his ninja career was over? You're a fool, Dobe. You can't be Hokage if you cannot use jutsu. Only an idiot like you would believe that. Just give up already. Sakura could not believe Sasuke could be so mean. Sure, it was a fantasy to think he could be Hokage with his handicap, but still, to try and crush his dream like that was just cruel. She was about to console Naruto when she saw his face contort in anger. The blonde boy jumped out of bed and tackled his other teammate. Sasuke was unprepared for the assault and fell back with Naruto on top of him. Naruto got right in Sasuke's face and screamed, "Screw you, team! There is no rule that says that you have to have jutsu to be Hokage. The Hokage is the strongest ninja in the village. I'll be Hokage even if I have to kick your ass to prove it. That's my ambition." Both of his teammates were surprised at the conviction in his voice. Sasuke was livid. Was this cretin mocking him? To think he had been thinking the Dobe could be his rival. How would he measure himself now? Not only that, but now that Naruto was no longer on their team, he was worried that they would be given another useless genin to fill the spot. Meanwhile, Sakura felt a warm feeling in her chest. She didn't know why, but suddenly she felt as if she wanted to help Naruto achieve his dream. She was pulling the smaller boy off Sasuke when she remembered the rest of the Hokage's announcement. But Naruto, the Hokage said that he was taking you off of our team and off the shinobi roster. Nanny! Wait till I see that old man. Naruto fumed for a while before an idea occurred to him. Hey, maybe he wants me for some super secret ninja training. Whatever, Dobe, you're obviously fine now, so I'm leaving. With that, Sasuke left the room. Team. Naruto smiled as he turned to his pink-haired teammate. Hey Sakura-chan, what have you been doing while I was here? Sakura groaned. Kakashi-sensei is a slave driver. Ever since we got back, he has been running us into the ground with his training. The only good thing is I think I'm getting stronger. He has me working on some genjutsu since I have such good chakra control. That's great, Sakura-chan. I always knew you were strong. The girl blushed slightly at his praise. Naruto calmed down a bit as he seemed to be thinking. Hey Sakura-chan, will you go out with me when I get out of the hospital? Sakura was shocked to find that she didn't have the urge to pound the boy. Maybe she was growing up some. Still, while she was glad to see he was better, she didn't feel that way about him. She sat next to him on his bed and gave him a serious look. Naruto, I want you to understand. I'm glad you're feeling better and I even care about you as my teammate, but I like Sasuke-kun. She could see the sadness in his eyes as she continued. I won't ever feel that way about you. You are like an annoying younger brother to me. She watched as he smiled slightly, though she could tell he was hurting. I'll tell you what, when you get out of here I'll take you to get ramen, but only as friends. Okay? Naruto was heartbroken to hear that the girl he liked did not like him. At least, not the same way. But still she did say that she cared about him, and that made Naruto feel better. So he smiled at her, even though he was sad. Sure thing, Sakura-chan. Sakura decided to give him some time alone. She got up to leave, but at the last minute she did something that shocked them both. She gave Naruto a big hug. I'm glad you're better, and I want you to know that I believe in you. I'll help you any way I can. Even though you're not officially on the team, you will always be my teammate. Sakura ran out of the room, wiping her tears as she left. Naruto fought back tears of his own as he watched her go. Sakura-chan. The lay back on the bed, but turned when he heard a book close. Naruto's face brightened as he looked over at the door and saw his sensei, former sensei, enter the room. Kakashi entered the room and looked over his now former student. Seeing the boy in good health lessened the guilt he had been carrying around. So how is Konoha's most surprising ninja doing? Ha, I feel great, Kakashi-sensei. How about you? I heard you've been training Sakura and Sasuke pretty hard. Kakashi felt a momentary resurgence of guilt. The copy Nin knelt by the boy's bed and hung his head. Naruto, can you ever forgive me? I failed you as a sensei. I didn't prepare you for the mission, and then I failed to protect you. I'm so sorry, Naruto. Nay, Kakashi-sensei. It wasn't your fault. I got mad and drew on the stupid fox's chakra. He gave me too much and I lost control, but I won't let it happen again. You can believe it. Kakashi laughed in relief and tousled the boy's hair. It was amazing to the man how easily the young blonde could forgive. Naruto, you are becoming a good man, and I think one day you will be a great one. Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head at the praise. After a second his smile dropped, and he became serious. Kakashi-sensei, why did Hokage Gigi take me off the team? Kakashi was expecting that to come up, so he looked Naruto in the eyes and explained. Naruto, I know you feel left behind, but I know the Hokage has a good reason. Right now you have to adjust to not being able to use Jutsu, but I'm sure he has a plan for you. Just bear with it, and I promise you it will be worth it. Kakashi smiled at Naruto. Naruto knew he could trust his sensei. Hi Kakashi-sensei, I will. I just can't wait till I get out of this hospital. Kakashi chuckled. I have to go, Naruto, but before I do I want you to know, if you ever need anything just come and find me. You may not be my student, but I would like to be your friend. Naruto found himself holding back tears again as he responded, thanks Kakashi, ja-ni. And with that the Jounin left. Naruto felt drained. This had to be his most emotional day since he graduated the academy. The boy lay down and wrapped himself in his covers before drifting off to sleep. In 2 days he would see what his future held. 2 days later Naruto found himself on his way to the Hokage Tower after checking out of the hospital. He was in a good mood. Iruka had stopped by the day after Team 7 and fussed over the boy. Team 8 and Team 10 had also stopped by briefly after hearing the news. Naruto was grateful that they cared enough to see him, although Hinata acted kind of strange. She kept giving him these odd glances, and when he looked at her she would turn red-faced and move out of view. Naruto just shook his head and chalked it up to her being weird. Naruto entered the tower and made his way up to the Hokage's office. Iruka, who was sitting at the desk outside the Hokage's door, brightened up considerably once he saw the boy. Go right in, Naruto. They are expecting you. Naruto wondered who they were but just brushed it off. He stopped when he heard Iruka call him. Naruto, be on your best behavior while you speak to the Hokage. Remember, he is the one who decides what happens to you. Naruto entered the office to see Sarutobi seated at his desk puffing on his pipe. The Toad Sage Jiraiya was leaning on the wall next to the window. Hey old man, Jiraiya. Naruto greeted the elder Nin. Hello Naruto. Hi kid. So Naruto, the Sandaime began. Do you know why you are here? Naruto thought for a second before answering. I guess this is about me not being on Kakashi-sensei's team. Naruto tried to stay positive, but he was nervous. That is correct. Now let me ease your mind. You are only being removed from the active ninja roster. I believe you still have the ability to be a proud shinobi of the leaf. Naruto's smile was like the sun coming out. Sarutobi and Jiraiya both chuckled at seeing the young boy's joy. Sarutobi schooled his face into seriousness before he continued. Before you get too excited, I want you to understand how serious this is. There are some in the village who want me to strip you of your ninja status. They believe it is too dangerous to allow you outside of the village. Naruto scowled at the news. Sarutobi continued before he could interrupt. However, I see potential in you, which is why you will be given one chance to prove that you have what it takes to remain a ninja without jutsu. If you fail, I will have no choice but to remove you from the shinobi corps permanently. Naruto understood the trust the Hokage was placing in him. I won't let you down, old man. I will be a ninja and I will be Hokage. That is the spirit I like to see. First we will give you an assessment exam to see where your other skills place. Then based on the results, Jiraiya and I will design a training schedule for you to complete. Iruka has also graciously volunteered to tutor you in the basics that you neglected to learn at the academy. Hearing Naruto's groan, the Hokage glared at him until he quieted. Understand this well, Naruto. We are placing a great deal of trust in you. You will be tested, and should you fail to pass, you know the consequence. That sobered the boy right up. I understand, Hokage Gigi. So what's next? Sarutobi replied. Next we test your skills. Prepare yourself, Naruto, and be at training ground 13 in 1 hour. You are dismissed. Naruto raced out of the room, nearly barreling into 2 shinobi as he passed. Hey, watch it, Gaki! The woman yelled around a mouthful of dango. The flames of youth burn bright in him, my youthful comrade. The man added. They both entered the Hokage's office. You called for us, Hokage-sama? Yes. Enko, Guy, I have a mission for you. I need you to test the skills of a genin. Meet me at training ground 13 in 45 minutes. Hi, Hokage-sama. They both replied. As they left the office, Enko let out a sinister cackle. It had been a while since she had been able to play torture the genin. Maybe this would be fun after all. Meanwhile, Guy was excited as well. There was nothing he loved more than testing the fires of youth. This would be a good day. Back at his apartment, Naruto let out a shudder. He didn't know why, but he got the feeling that he was not going to enjoy this test the Hokage cooked up. Naruto reached the training ground with minutes to spare. Training ground 13 was a large grassy field dotted with copses of trees and surrounded by forest. The clearing was about a half a mile across, and there was a small lake on the south end. Naruto looked over the training ground until he spotted 3 figures at the far end. He ran over and came to a halt in front of the Hokage, who had just finished speaking with a pair of shinobi. Naruto-kun, let me introduce Mado Guy and Mitarashi Anko. I just finished explaining to them the purpose of this test, the Sandaime informed him. Guy is a jounin and our resident taijutsu expert. He will test your physical conditioning and fighting skills. Anko is a special jounin and an expert in assassination and interrogation. She will be testing your weapons, evasion, and stealth skills. Naruto looked the two over. Guy was a large, solidly built man wearing what looked like a green leotard and sporting the biggest eyebrows Naruto had ever seen. Anko wore mesh armor with miniskirt and trench coat. Naruto didn't think they looked like much, but neither did Kakashi at first. Besides, if the old man said they were good, who was he to say otherwise? Naruto broke off his musings when Guy spoke up. Greetings, Naruto-kun. Hokage-sama has told us of your situation. I am impressed that your fires of youth continue to burn brightly. My most youthful student, Rock Lee, also cannot use chakra. He has decided to show the world that he can be a great ninja using only taijutsu. Naruto immediately perked up upon hearing this. Now I am here to test your physical condition and taijutsu skills. You will do some warm-up exercises and we will spar. Once we have finished, I will make some suggestions to Hokage-sama for your training so that you may once again enjoy the springtime of youth. Yash. Guy finished by slipping into his nice guy pose, his teeth gleaming in the sun. Was all Naruto could reply. To start off, you will do 200 push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups. Then you will run 30 laps around the clearing. Once you are done loosening up, we will spar until I have a good grasp of your fighting style and natural tendencies. What? Naruto looked at him incredulously. The clearing had to be a mile around at least. Are you crazy? Naruto looked to the Hokage for support but could only hang his head when he saw a smiling Sarutobi holding up Anko, who was currently busting a gut laughing. Naruto muttered something about crazy ninja and treacherous old men as he began his exercises. Naruto was surprised to find that, while the routine did suck, he was able to get through it. Oddly enough, every time he thought he had reached his limit and his muscles couldn't take anymore, the pain and tightness would ease slightly. Not much, but just enough for him to complete each exercise. Guy stood by nodding his head as Naruto got up and proceeded to run around the clearing. 10 minutes later, it became apparent that the rumors of the boy's near inexhaustible stamina were truer than he had believed. The kid had been running flat out for the entire time, and so far had not shown any signs of tiring. Guy could only smile. Now here was a genin worth testing. If anything, he would love to train the young genin himself, but alas, he could not abandon his students, particularly his Lee. Finally, after an hour of running, Naruto jogged up to the trio, a slight sheen of sweat glistening on his forehead. The poor boy bent over to catch his breath after the exertion. 1 minute later, Guy called him over to shady areas near a copse of trees. Very good, Naruto-kun. Your conditioning is better than I expected. Your strength appears to be slightly above average. Your speed is about average for a genin, but your stamina is unbelievable. Naruto beamed at the praise. Now we test your fighting ability. Come at me using everything you have. I want to see how well you attack and defend. I will start at a genin level, but I will slowly fight harder until I reach mid-chunin level. Do your youthful best so that I may correctly rate your skills. Naruto sized the man up before dashing at him. Several feet before he would reach him, he launched himself into the air, snapping a side kick at Guy's head. Guy blocked with his left forearm while throwing an uppercut at the boy's stomach. Swiftly grabbing the incoming fist with both hands, Naruto rolled over the blow to land at Guy's side. He threw a quick jab that was picked off by a descending elbow and was caught in the face by the following left. Naruto flew back, hit the ground and tucked into a roll. Getting to his feet, he again launched himself forward, this time going for a right to Guy's solar plexus. Guy leaned to the side while smacking the young nin's fist to the ground. Not one to be easily stopped, Naruto shifted his weight, turning his fall into a spinning back kick. Guy reacted by catching the incoming foot and yanking the boy around before throwing him at a nearby tree. Naruto flipped in midair, his feet hitting the tree, and rebounded off for another go. Guy was grinning. Now here was a boy with potential. Sure, he was rough and had little style to speak of, but he was adaptable, tenacious, and tireless. Guy decided to amp things up a bit. The Jounin dashed to intercept the genin before catching him with a quick right-left combo that had the boy reeling. He quickly shook it off as Guy came forward with a series of punishing blows. Naruto was quickly overmatched. He was lucky to block or dodge one blow in 5. He would not give up, however. His career as a shinobi of the leaf was riding on this, and he would not back down. After knocking him to the ground for what seemed like the 50th time, Guy loomed over the battered Nin. "Do you yield?" he asked. Naruto slowly pushed himself to his feet, his face swollen and aching. He stared the man in the eyes and replied, "Never. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage, and I never give up." "Bring it on." Bushy brows. Guy smiled and backed away, surprising the blonde boy. "Very good, Naruto-kun. You may now rest. Your fires of youth burn brightly this day. They may even be a match for my Lees," he said, once again giving his nice guy pose. Naruto fell on his butt in relief. While he would never willingly surrender, he really was on his last legs at that point. The man was relentless. The Hokage wasn't joking when he said the man was a taijutsu master. "Now I want to ask you a few questions before I make my recommendation to Hokage-sama." Naruto nodded as Guy crouched down next to him. "I noticed that you do not use the style taught by the academy. May I ask why?" "It doesn't feel right, so I stopped using it. I figured I'd make my own style." Tell me, what do you mean when you say it does not feel right?" Naruto thought for a minute. After struggling to come up with an explanation, he sighed in frustration. "I don't know how to explain it, it just doesn't. Let me see if I can help." "Does it feel too rigid?" "Huh!" Naruto replied. "I mean, does it feel too stiff, like you are trying to force your body to move in an unnatural way?" The Jounin clarified. Naruto's face lit up. "Hey, yeah, that's it. It feels stiff. I didn't like it, and when I tried to tell Mizuki team, he just told me to stop complaining," he ended darkly. Let me speak to Hokage-sama while you rest for your next test." Naruto nodded as Guy walked over to the other two. "Hokage-sama, I believe Naruto has much potential and I have a few styles in mind. He appears to lean towards a more freeform style. Most styles would be too structured for him. May I ask what plans you have in mind for the rest of his training? Is there a particular way you are trying to mold him?" Sarutobi puffed on his pipe for a second before replying. "All my plans are based on what I learned today. However, since he cannot use jutsu, I believe his best option is to close quickly and put down his opponent before they can get out of range. I believe he will always be at a disadvantage in a long-range battle." Guy shook his head. "Not necessarily, sir. My student Tenten does not use much in the way of jutsu, but she is deadly at long range. Her skill with throwing weapons is astonishing for one of her age." This immediately caught Enko's attention. There weren't many kunoichi out of the current crop that impressed her, and to hear of one who was so skilled with the throwing blades piqued her interest. "She might just have to pay the girl a visit," Guy continued. "It is my understanding that your main concern is Naruto avoiding being hit while still able to take out his opponent, correct?" The Sandaime nodded, which prompted Guy to continue. "The problem is, while there are a few styles that might suit him, none have the necessary qualities you are looking for. Most power styles that would allow him to disable his opponent quickly, like my Goken, would be too rigid and structured for him. On the other hand, more flexible styles that depend on avoiding hits and swift punishing counters, like Enko-san's Snake Fist style, would take too long for him to develop the necessary precision in his strikes to use effectively." At this, Enko nodded in agreement. Most styles similar to hers required pinpoint accuracy to deliver crippling blows. Based on her observations, the Gaki would definitely take a while to get to that point, if ever. "There is an alternative, Hokage-sama. I know of a style that would be nearly perfect for Naruto-kun. It is an active style, so it requires great stamina. It consists of dodging and blocking your opponent's strikes while delivering disorienting and weakening blows. It allows you to control the flow of the fight before dealing the finishing blow when your foe is unable to defend themselves. It is difficult to learn for most because it calls for a certain unpredictability that is impossible to teach, and most would rather use a style designed to end a fight quickly. The Shadow Eel style capitalizes on this. An adept of the style fights moving swiftly and staying in blind spots, avoiding hits while meting out blows, frustrating their opponent until they make a fatal error." The interest of the Hokage was definitely piqued. From Guy's description, this could very well be just the sort of style they were looking for. "Guy, would you be able to teach this style to Naruto?" "No, unfortunately not, Hokage-sama. I have knowledge of the style, but I am not fit to learn it either. However, I do know someone who is proficient in the style. A former Chunin named Furinji Akasame." The Hokage frowned. "The name is vaguely familiar. Tell me, why is he no longer a ninja, and would he be willing to teach Naruto his style?" "That is difficult to say. At the very least, he would want to meet with the boy himself before agreeing. As to why he is no longer active, he developed a respiratory condition that prevents him from fully exerting himself. Now he spends his time pursuing the arts. When last we spoke he said that he had spent enough time destroying and that he now wanted to create. Very well, the Sandaime said. Please go speak with Furinji-san on Naruto's behalf. If necessary, explain the situation to him. Have him come to my office tomorrow at 8 with an answer. Hi Hokage-sama. Guy took off to find his old friend. Sarutobi turned to a bored Anko who had been playing with a kunai as she eyed Naruto with an evil grin. The old man sighed. Anko, it is your turn to test Naruto. Please return him in one piece, preferably without any major injuries. Anko gave a sheepish grin as she scratched the back of her head. Sarutobi was struck with how like the two were. Both were notorious pranksters, though Anko's pranks tended to have a mildly sadistic streak. Both were spirited, willful, and doggedly loyal. Both had experienced the loneliness that came from being outcast, but neither would let it slow them down. No problem, boss, but you're taking all the fun out of this, she replied with a cheeky grin. The young woman walked over to where Naruto was recuperating and promptly kicked him in the side. Get up, Gaki. No more lying around. It's time for me to have my turn. Naruto angrily jumped to his feet. What the hell? He froze as a kunai zipped past his face, leaving a small cut on his cheek. Before he could move, he felt a pair of arms slip around him from behind. Anko hugged him close, nuzzling the confused genin, while she licked the blood from his cheek. Hiding her surprise at not finding the wound with her tongue, she purred in his ear. Now, Gaki, let Anko-chan have her fun. I want to test that vaunted stamina of yours. We are going to play a game of capture the genin. You have a 5-minute head start before I come after you. You will have to use all of your skill to avoid being captured for the next half hour. If I catch you, I get to use you for target practice. My last target had an unfortunate kunai accident. Naruto shuddered as she spoke. What the hell was the old man thinking? First, he lets him get beaten by bushy brows, then he lets this psycho loose on him. Anko continued. You can use whatever tools and weapons you have. Make traps, throw kunai, you name it. Word of advice though, keep a lookout for snakes, oh, and don't die. She released the boy with a pat to the rear and an evil cackle. Naruto took off for the forest at top speed. Anko, don't you think you overdid a bit? The Hokage asked. Just trying to motivate the Gaki, boss. It had been 12 minutes and Naruto had yet to see any trace of the crazy broad. Meanwhile, he had made good use of his time. Drawing on all his knowledge of traps and his experience as a prankster, Naruto set up several traps in the vicinity of his hiding place. He then pulled a few threads from his jacket and placed them on branches and roots near the traps to give a false trail. Having hunkered down in the hollow of a tree surrounded by bushes, he waited. Let the psycho try to track him down. She'd get hers all right. Naruto watched as Anko crept through the undergrowth with a self-satisfied look on her face. Just a few feet more and she would set off the tripwire and the fun would begin. Naruto was so intent on watching Anko that he almost missed a slight hissing sound behind him. He slowly turned around to come face to face with the biggest viper he had ever seen. Acting solely on instinct, Naruto leaped up and backflipped, landing on the side of the tree just as the snake lunged for him. Thanking Kami for still being able to channel chakra, the Hokage wannabe ran up the tree and executed a series of jumps that took him away from the snake. Just as he was about to make his final jump to the ground, a kunai whistled past his face, causing him to lose his balance and fall to the ground. Naruto quickly recovered and rolled to the side as 3 more of the deadly projectiles impaled the ground where he had been. Deciding to go on the offensive, Naruto pulled 3 shuriken and flung them into the foliage overhead. Naruto listened for any clues to Anko's position. When he could not pick up anything, he decided to lead her back to the traps. When he reached his former hiding place, he heard a rustling in the trees. Naruto dived to the side while throwing a shuriken. The shuriken missed Anko, who had leaped out at the boy, only to cut a rope concealed in the grass. Anko smiled as 5 kunai headed right for her. Spinning around, the special jounin snatched all 5 out of the air and hurled them at the astounded genin. Quickly coming to his senses, Naruto dived onto a roll and threw another kunai as he came to his feet. Anko moved her head just enough to avoid the missile as she chased after her prey. Naruto ran through the bushes with the insane woman hot on his heels. The fleeing genin dropped several smoke bombs, hoping to loose her in the underbrush. He ran on for several minutes, ducking and dodging kunai the whole time. Occasionally he would throw one back or drop another smoke bomb, but she just kept coming. Naruto decided he'd had enough and doubled back to his original position. Seeing a small hole where 2 trees had fell against each other, he dived and scrambled to the other side. Anko took the easy way and jumped over them, only to find a grinning Uzumaki yanking a piece of rope. Another bunch of shuriken flew towards the woman. Naruto was shocked to see all 6 of the stars hit their target. His relief was short-lived, however, when Anko disappeared in a puff of smoke to reveal a log in her place. Naruto felt something wrap around him, binding his arms to his side as he was jerked into the air. He turned his head and immediately cried out in terror as 2 snakes, venom dripping from wickedly long fangs, began snapping at his face. The hair on the back of his neck stood on end as he heard an evil cackle. Now that wasn't very nice, Gaki. Those would have really hurt, and you wouldn't want to hurt little old me, would you? Anko asked in a deceptively sweet tone. Naruto's mind raced as tried to come up with a way out of his predicament. It quickly became abundantly clear that he was not going anywhere. The snakes had him in a tight grip, suspended in midair, their bodies trailing back to disappear into the sleeve of the woman's trench coat. Anko laughed at the crestfallen look on the poor brat's face. Taking pity on the twerp, she told him, "Lighten up, kid. You actually did better than I thought you would. I mean, did you really think you could avoid me, the incredibly awesome, deadly, and super sexy Mitarashi Anko, for half an hour? You may be good for a genin but not that good." Naruto was happy and confused all at the same time. Heh? I did good? But you said I had to keep from being caught for 30 minutes. I don't get it. Kid, I never expected you to actually pull it off. I just wanted to see what you were made of. Anko dismissed her technique, dropping him on his butt. She turned and led the sulking boy back to the Hokage with him muttering under his breath about psycho snake ladies who torture people for fun. So how did he do, Anko? Anko thought for a second then gave her opinion. He's not bad. Above average stealth and evasion skills for a genin. He did pretty good setting up traps. I'm surprised, the kid's better with throwing weapons than I thought he'd be, but he could still use some work. Too much snap to his wrist. His observational skills aren't bad, but he took too long to notice my snake. He got too focused on me and dropped his guard. All in all, not bad for a genin. Took me a total of 22 minutes and 46 seconds to bag and tag him. The Sandaime was pleased. He knew Naruto was crafty. After all, he had managed to not only paint the Hokage monument in broad daylight, but also managed to sneak into the tower and steal the scroll of forbidden seals. Thank you, Anko, for your assistance. Naruto, you did well. Go home and get some rest and be at the tower tomorrow morning at 9. Naruto said bye to Sarutobi and Anko and raced home. After preparing 2 cups of ramen and showering, he drifted off to sleep, wondering what the next few days would bring. Furinji Akasame had just put down his paintbrush when he heard a knock at his front door. He rose gracefully to his feet and adjusted his light green kimono. When he opened the door, he was surprised to see his nephew, Mato Guy, on his porch. Come in, Guy-chan. It's been a while since I saw you last. Would you like some tea? Thank you, uncle, that would be good. How have you been? You know me, Guy-chan, I have my art, and that is enough. How are Mio and her most youthful husband? I have not seen them since they moved to the capital. Are they well? Oh yes, they are doing excellent. Kenichi got a job as one of the daimyo's guard and they are expecting their second child in 7 months. Akasame paused to serve the tea. After they had each settled down, Akasame addressed his nephew. Now then, while I am enjoying the company, I know you are usually busy training your students, so what has brought you to me today? Before I answer your question, uncle, please tell me, are you still searching for a successor for the Shadow Eel style? Akasame was slightly taken aback. He had not mentioned his search for a pupil in years. While he had once held out hope that his son-in-law might learn the style, the boy thought too linearly. While I would love to pass on the secrets of the style, I have yet to find someone with the right mindset, body type, and spirit to carry on the tradition. There are very few in the ninja world who would be suitable. As you know, the Shadow Eel is not a style based on quick takedowns. It is about control and stamina. Control over yourself and your opponent. Stamina to outlast and outmaneuver. Why do you ask? Today I met a young man who is basking in the springtime of youth. Uncle, let me tell you the story of Uzumaki Naruto. The following morning found Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sandaime Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village, entrenched at his desk filling out the morning paperwork. At precisely 8 o'clock, Irika knocked on his door. Hokage-sama, there is a Furinji Akasame here to see you. Send him in, Irika. We are not to be disturbed until Naruto arrives. When he does, I would like to talk to you as well about the matter we spoke of. Very well, Hokage-sama. With that, Irika escorted Akasame into the office. Sarutobi had taken the time to pull the man's service record the previous evening. He was impressed to say the least. The Hokage now remembered where he knew the man from. During the Third Shinobi War, Furinji Akasame was a Chunin on the way to becoming a Jounin, until he took a poisoned kunai in the chest while returning to the village to report an IWA ambush. While the medics were able to save his life, the poison had gotten to his lung, causing irreversible damage. He could continue to lead a normal, healthy life, but unfortunately ninja service would forever be beyond him. The Sandaime took a moment to study the man before him. Furinji Akasame was in his late 40s. The dark brown hair that fell down to his shoulders was streaked with gray, as was his neatly trimmed beard and mustache. He maintained the lean physique of a ninja even though he was a civilian. Dressed in black hakama and a light green gi, he looked the picture of refinement and serenity. Hokage-sama, Guy tells me that you wish for me to examine a prospective student. The man said, breaking Sarutobi out of his musings. Yes. Guy has tested a young genin, and he feels the boy to be a particularly apt candidate for your style. I asked that you meet with me so that I might request that you train the boy. You of course know of young Naruto's burden, do you not? Would that be an issue, Akasame-san? Akasame saw the look in the old man's eyes. Thinking carefully over his reply, he continued. No, Hokage-sama, I have never had an issue with young Uzumaki. While I do know of his situation, I had honestly never given much thought to the child. My only concern is whether he will have the qualities I look for in my student. Sarutobi leaned back into his chair. What exactly are you looking for? Guy did not go into detail about the qualities you seek. Akasame stroked his chin in thought before he answered. Any student of the Shadow Eel style must have 3 things above all others. They must have a creative mind, a strong and agile body, and an indomitable spirit. While many possess the body and spirit, few possess the right mindset. Shadow Eel is all about control and adaptability. You must stay ahead of your opponent, while maneuvering them into a position that is advantageous to you. That requires a certain unpredictability that most shinobi lack. Too many get caught in the trap of having favorite techniques. While it is good to use what you know best, once your enemy becomes aware of your habits you lose a certain edge. The Shadow Eel is a free-form style that capitalizes on this ideal. While it is more defensive than most styles, a master can wreak havoc with an enemy. Sarutobi kept a straight face, but inside he was jumping with excitement. This sounded like the perfect style for Naruto. With the boy's trickster nature and the plans he had for his training coupled with this style, he would be a terror on the battlefield. Well, Furinji-san, Naruto should be here within the next half hour. In the meantime, do you have any questions or concerns you would like to address? This would be what told the Sandaime if Akasame would be right to teach Naruto. Guy has spoken highly of the boy, which says a lot in his favor. If you do not mind me asking, why exactly are you going so far for this boy? It is not often the Hokage goes so far for a genin. The Hokage pulled out his pipe, lit it, and took a puff while he measured his response. From his first day on this earth, that boy has served this village. The Yondaime sealed the Kyuubi into Naruto, and as his last request, he asked that the boy be seen as a hero. Unfortunately, he did not count on the strength of the rage and pain most felt that day. Naruto has been ignored, glared at, and generally been the target of those negative emotions all of his life. Konoha repays his sacrifice by shunning him, but still he wishes to protect this village. His greatest dream is to be Hokage. This is my way of repaying the debt we owe him. But more importantly, this is how a tired old man will help a lonely, mistreated boy he could not fully protect from the people he serves. The 2 old men talked for the next half hour while they waited for Naruto to arrive. Naruto ran for the Hokage tower in a rush to keep his appointment. That morning he had stopped at Ichiraku's. He ate 2 bowls of ramen while being fussed over by Ayam. He smiled as he ran to his meeting. It always felt good to know that at least a few people cared about him. When he got to the receptionist's desk, he saw Irika waiting for him. Come right in, Naruto. The Hokage would like to speak with us both. Naruto saw another person sitting in the office as he entered. Naruto, my boy, come in and have a seat. I would like to introduce you to Furinji Akasame, a former Chunin. He wanted to meet you before he decided whether or not to teach you his taijutsu style. Naruto, in a rare show of manners, bowed to the man before seating himself. Akasame looked the boy and then chuckled. Well, Naruto, it is good to finally meet you. My nephew Guy and the Hokage have told me a lot about you. Before we start, I want you to know that I have been told about your situation. That will have no bearing on my decision. If I find that you have the attributes I seek, then I will teach you. If you do not, then I won't. Naruto shook his head in agreement. So what is it I need? You need to have the right kind of mind, body, and spirit to be a true Shadow Eel student. That you wish to continue as a ninja even with your setback tells me you have the spirit. Now I have to decide if you have the proper mindset and basic physique. Now, the Hokage tells me that on your last mission you faced an A-ranked missing nin and aided your sensei in escaping from him. Tell me about what happened and what part you played. Akasame settled back into his chair to hear to Naruto's story. As he listened, he searched for any signs of deception or exaggeration. So that's when I had the team throw me in the Fuma shuriken at Zabuza. That eyebrowless freak didn't know what hit him. He dodged the shuriken and then jumped when he saw the second one. But then I came out of the henge and threw a kunai at him, so he had to drop the jutsu to get away. Naruto beamed in pride at his accomplishment. Akasame stroked his beard as he listened to the story. So you came up with this idea all on your own, right there on the spot? That's right. Naruto's composure slipped a bit when he saw a slightly disbelieving look on Akasame's face. What, you don't believe me? Asked Kakashi-sensei. He even told Zabuza that I forced him to let sensei go. Naruto pouted. Akasame couldn't hold it in anymore and let loose with a laugh. No, I believe you. You are a most interesting young man. Since it appears you have the mind for my style, all that's left is to check your body. Please take off your shirt and stand still with your arms out to the side. After nervously glancing at the Sandaime for approval, Naruto proceeded to take off his jacket and shirt. He held out his arms as Akasame poked and prodded at his stomach and back. The former shinobi then felt the boy's arms and legs all while nodding or shaking his head. When he finished, Sarutobi, Irika, and especially Naruto waited to see what he would say. After eyeing the boy for a few seconds, he laughed. Finally, I have found someone fitting to pass my knowledge to. You will need work, but the basic frame is there. You have the makings of a fine Shadow Eel student. Hearing this, Naruto jumped up and cheered. After he calmed down, he looked at Akasame with his face scrunched up in confusion, while scratching his face. I know, sensei, just what exactly is your style anyway? I never heard of it before. Both the Sandaime and Irika dropped their heads in exasperation at the blonde's shenanigans. Akasame merely chuckled. Yes, I have found a rare one indeed. To answer your question, the Shadow Eel style is a taijutsu style centered on controlling and outlasting your opponent. This is why it was so hard for me to find the right student. One has to have the stamina to tire their enemy, and the unpredictability to keep them off balance. Doing so allows you to control the fight. Whether one opponent or 10, the Shadow Eel practitioner is always moving, ducking, dodging, tumbling, and staying just out of sight and out of reach. Unleashing blows aimed to disorient and disable your foe. When they can no longer defend themselves, that is when you move in with the final strike. Naruto's eyes grew wide as he listened to his new teacher. When Akasame finished, the boy shouted, "That is awesome! Just watch, sensei, I'll be so great nobody will beat me." I can't to tell Sakura-chan and Sasuke. They all gave the excited youngster smiles of indulgence before the Hokage grew serious. Naruto, that is one of the things we must discuss. Seeing the grave look on the old man's face calmed Naruto instantly. You must understand that with your condition, surprise will be your greatest weapon. That means your training must remain secret until the time is right. Sarutobi sat back and stared out at the village. We are putting a great deal of faith in you, my boy, so you must prove the faith is justified. To that end I have a few rules that you will abide by or your training will end and you will be removed from the ninja corps. Naruto flinched at the news. He understood just how big a chance the Hokage was taking and he would not let the old man down. Okay Gigi, what do I have to do? The Hokage smiled when he saw the serious look on the boy's face. First, you will begin your training tomorrow morning. You will train every day with Sundays off to rest. There will be no physical training on Sundays, your body has to recuperate from the exertion. Your day will start at 6 when you will meet Akasame-san for breakfast. For the next hour you will practice calligraphy. Akasame saw Naruto's questioning glance and explained, every practitioner of Shadow Eel must take up an art. After discussing it with the Hokage, we feel that calligraphy would be most suitable for you. Think of it as a meditation exercise to calm your mind and center yourself. Naruto nodded slowly, not really seeing the point but afraid to argue. Now then, the Sandaime continued, next you will train until 12 when you will have lunch. During that time, Akasame has agreed to teach you proper manners and etiquette. While we enjoy your spirit and enthusiasm, there will be time when you may have to meet with important clients, so you must learn how to behave. Is that clear? Naruto quickly nodded his head. You will then practice chakra control until 3. From there you will go home and freshen up to meet your next tutor. At this Sarutobi waved his hand at a smiling Irika. Starting at 4 I will meet you at your apartment where we will go over all the important things you missed while at the academy. Now I know you may not think these things are important, and you may find them boring, but you must learn them. The information you learn may one day save your life or the life of a teammate, Irika said, giving him a stern look. You will be tested at the end of the week, and if you do not pass your training will end. Irika sighed at seeing Naruto's downcast look. He knew the kid wasn't the best at bookwork, which is why he volunteered when the Hokage mentioned it. Naruto, we are doing this for your benefit, but only you can decide if it is important enough to do the work. I believe in you and I will help you as much as I can. Naruto perked up immediately. All his hopes and dreams were riding on him succeeding. This was his last shot, and he would not give up. That went against his nindo. Alright Irika-sensei, I'll pass, you can believe it, Sarutobi smiled. That is good to hear, Naruto. When Irika finishes you are to eat, and then you have free time until 9 when you will go to bed. At the end of the month, we will evaluate your progress and decide if you will continue on to learn 2 more skills I have in mind for you. Now you have the rest of the day off to do as you like. Akasame will be at your apartment tomorrow to show you the way to his house, so be ready and remember to tell no one the details of your training. Naruto rose to his feet before looking at the 3 adults. I promise I won't let you down. I'll learn everything I need to be a great shinobi. With that, the excited blonde ran out of the office to prepare for road ahead. Akasame turned to the Hokage and remarked, well, if nothing else, things won't be boring for the next month. He is the most enthusiastic person I have ever come across. Akasame chuckled and left. Irika returned to his post, leaving the Sandaime to reminisce over his time as a sensei and his most hyperactive student. Early the next morning, Naruto was awakened by knocking on his door. He looked at his clock to see that it was 5:45. The boy's eyes widened comically as he realized who was most likely at the door. Naruto rushed to let his new sensei into his apartment. It took all the emotional control Akasame possessed not to laugh at the sight of a panicky Naruto rushing around in froggy pajamas with the strangest nightcap on his head. Seriously, he could tell it was supposed to be some type of animal, but for the life of him, Akasame could not tell what kind. Hold on, sensei, I'll be right there, Naruto yelled as he rushed to get ready. He returned only a few minutes later wearing a hideous orange jumpsuit. Akasame was convinced the pajamas were better. Naruto finished up and they left the apartment. The two walked in silence until Naruto piped up with a question. Ano, hey sensei, why can't I just eat breakfast at home? I mean, I don't want to be a bother. Akasame chuckled lightly. It is no bother at all. You see, there are 3 reasons for this. First, we need to make sure that you have the proper diet. The Hokage has told me of your love of ramen, but you need the proper nutrients and vitamins to fuel your body during training. You will also learn to prepare these meals yourself. Akasane gave the young genin a pointed look. I trust that will not be a problem. Naruto quickly shook his head no, while he cried on the inside for the loss of his precious ramen. Second, as you may be called on to attend important functions or dinners during your ninja career, you will be learning manners and etiquette. These are things every aspiring Hokage should know. Naruto felt his chest swell with pride. Here was someone who took his dreams seriously. And finally, I would just enjoy the company. Does this satisfy you, young man? Naruto agreed, and shortly thereafter, they found themselves at Akasane's home. Akasane lived in a modest 3-bedroom house with a spacious backyard. Naruto looked around the living room and saw all the sculptures and paintings. His natural curiosity got the better of him, and while they were preparing breakfast, he asked about it. Hey sensei, you must really like art, huh? Akasane smiled at the boy. Actually, while I do enjoy art itself, these are all pieces that I have done. When I retired as a ninja, I found that I had more than enough money to support myself but not much to do. So I decided to take up art. These are just the pieces I decided were good enough to show, the rest are in my studio in the back. Naruto was amazed. There was so much art that he could only imagine how much was in his teacher's studio. Breakfast progressed slower than normal for the young ninja. His teacher forced him to slow down and savor his food. Naruto's education in etiquette began with lessons on how to behave at a formal meal. The proper usage of utensils, polite conversation, and table manners were all covered. After breakfast, they moved to Akasane's art studio. The studio was a large enclosed patio looking out over the backyard. Naruto had never seen so many paintings and sculptures in his life. Akasane led Naruto to a small table with scrolls and inkwell and several brushes. Now you will begin learning the fine art of calligraphy. I can see you have a question, and if I am not mistaken you are wondering why you must learn this. Naruto was surprised, as that was exactly what he was thinking. You see, all students of the Shadow Eel style are required to take up one of the arts. We feel that it is important to balance the brutality of fighting with the serenity of artistic creation. It is a way to calm the spirit and learn focus. The Hokage has asked me to teach you calligraphy in particular because he feels it is a skill that will serve you well later on. With that said, Akasane began to teach his new pupil calligraphy. It was slow going, as Naruto was a naturally energetic person, but Akasane was a patient man. When Naruto messed up, he merely pulled out another scroll and had him start again. After a while, Naruto finally began to calm down and let go of his frustration. After an hour had passed, they moved to the backyard. Naruto was teeming with excitement. This was what he had been waiting for. Akasane led Naruto to the farthest corner of the yard. Situated behind a concealing grove of bamboo was a training area. Naruto had never seen anything like it. A layer of sand covered most of the area. There was an area with 6-inch thick poles jutting from the ground at all angles. A series of targets featuring numbers were mounted randomly around each pole. Intertwined throughout the center section of the thing was a web of ropes. Several feet away were several contraptions that Naruto could not recognize but looked like they belonged in a torture chamber. Naruto became nervous as Akasane led him over to the devices. Have a seat, Naruto. Now, Akasane began as the boy sat at his feet. We shall now begin your training as my first true disciple of the Shadow Eel style. First, we must prepare your body before you can learn the secrets of our style. While you possess the basic build, there is still some work to be done. The 3 most important attributes of a Shadow Eel adept are stamina, agility, and core strength. You already possess the stamina, and that will naturally increase with your training, so we will focus on agility and core strength. To increase your agility, you will be put through these 3 stretchers, he said, pointing to the contraptions behind him. Each is designed to stretch a different series of muscle groups. This will be followed by intensive exercise to increase the strength of your abdominal muscles and back with lighter ones for your arms and legs. The end result will enable you to contort your body in midair with little difficulty while snapping out blows that will break bones. So, let's begin, shall we? For the next 2 hours, Naruto experienced the most pain he had felt besides his accident. The first machine was definitely the worst, as it stretched his legs into positions he felt he wasn't made to be in. The second twisted his midsection around like a corkscrew, and the last contorted his arms as far as they could possibly go. Needless to say, afterwards his entire body ached, but his sensei refused to let up. Following a break that was all too brief in Naruto's opinion, he was forced to do 300 sit-ups, 200 leg lifts, 200 crunches and several other exercises designed to work his back, sides and stomach. He was then expected to do 200 pull-ups, 300 jumping jacks, 100 lunges, and run for 30 minutes straight. By the time lunch rolled around at 12, the boy was a boneless mass of pain. Naruto felt like he could barely move. Every muscle in his body felt torn and bruised. He was forced to answer questions about all that he had learned during breakfast about nutrition, food preparation, and etiquette. Whenever his attention seemed to wane, Akasane would rap him on the knuckles to regain his focus. After lunch, Naruto finally felt capable of moving faster than your average garden snail. They returned to the training ground, or, as Naruto had dubbed it, the ninth circle of hell. They both assumed the lotus position and Akasame pulled out a small pile of leaves. Now that we have trained your body, it's time to train your mind and soul. Taking a leaf, he affixed it to his forehead where it stuck. This is the leaf exercise. You use chakra to make the leaf stick to your body. Too little and it will fall, too much and it will crumble. I want you to practice this for the next hour. Naruto stared at the man in confusion. Hey sensei, why do I have to practice chakra control? I can't use jutsu, remember? That is a good question. There are several reasons. 1. It is a form of meditation to teach you focus, similar to your calligraphy practice. 2. Since your chakra guides the foxes, we feel increasing your control would be a good thing. And 3. We have plans for your training that will require you to be able to use precise amounts of chakra. Does that answer your question? Naruto nodded and proceeded to practice. It was slow going and by the end of the hour, he had only been able to keep it on his forehead for a few minutes at a time. He was then made to practice tree climbing for an hour, which was necessary, as the addition of the demonic chakra to his system had completely destroyed his former competence. He was extremely lucky he had managed it in his fight with Enko. At the end of his training session, Naruto trudged home, finally understanding why the Hokage gave him an hour before Iruka-sensei was to show up. When the Chunin did arrive, he was loaded down with books and scrolls. Naruto groaned, prompting a glare from the academy teacher. For the next 3 hours, Naruto studied geography, history, biology, and the shinobi code. The upside was, since he was the only student, Iruka was able to devote his attention solely to the blonde. All his questions were answered and Iruka even explained why the information was so important to learn, giving real-life examples and situations. Finally, at 7 o'clock, Iruka finished the lesson bidding his student good night. Naruto ate and showered, too exhausted to do anything else. He went to bed knowing he had the same hellish schedule to look forward to tomorrow. Things proceeded in much the same way for the rest of the week. Naruto was able to relearn tree climbing in 2 days and so was made to hang upside down from a branch while keeping a leaf stuck to his forehead. His manners were improving with the help of his sensei's wooden spoon. The calligraphy progressed slowest of all, but given his hyperactive nature, that was to be expected. What worried Akasame was his physical progression. Changes that should have taken weeks were occurring in days. By the end of the week, Naruto was limber enough to begin learning the katas for his style. His abdominal and back muscles were gaining tone and definition. Most alarming of all was that, unbeknownst to him, he had grown an inch. It was these changes that led Akasame to seek counsel with the Hokage that Sunday morning. The Chunin on duty led him into the Sandame's office. Once he was seated, Sarutobi looked at him quizzically. So, what may I do for you today, Akasame? I assume this meeting concerns Naruto. Is he keeping up with his work? Naruto is coming along quite well, too well I would say. That is why I wish to speak with you. Sarutobi held up his hand before performing a silencing jutsu. When he had finished, he turned to Akasame with a grave expression on his face. Now tell me exactly what you mean. Well, my lord, Naruto is progressing much faster than should be possible. I know from our talk that the boy heals faster than normal, so I took that into account. However, the rate at which he is developing is astounding. Not only that, but it appears he has hit a growth spurt. Now I know that he is at the age where this is normal, but that coupled with his phenomenal physical progress has me mildly concerned. I thought it would be best to bring this to your attention. Sarutobi took a moment to consider this new state of affairs. What a time for Jiraiya to be out of the village. Hiruzen knew Jiraiya needed to actively monitor his spy ring, but this new development could be serious. Please wait here, Akasame. The Sandame summoned a pair of Chunin. Have Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Yukari report to my office. The duo acknowledged their orders and disappeared. 10 minutes later, Yukari walked into the office and greeted the pair. A few minutes after that, Naruto walked in and saw the three of them talking. What happened next shocked and amazed the old fire shadow. Naruto bowed before the three elder ninja. Hokage-sama, Akasame-sensei, Hyuga-san, how may I serve you? Akasame and Yukari smiled as a suspicious Sarutobi held his hands in the ram sign and flared his chakra. When nothing happened except Naruto looking at his in confusion, the Hokage turned to Akasame with a questioning look. Naruto has been learning respect for his superiors. It is all a part of his etiquette training. Hiruzen turned back to Naruto with a mischievous grin. Well, as good as it is to finally receive a measure of respect, I miss the old familiarity. I suppose when we are alone you may speak freely, Naruto-kun. The boy smiled. You got it, old man. Why did you send for me, Gigi? You miss me? Or have you finally decided to give me that hat? The outburst received a chorus of laughter. It was good to see that, although he was learning and progressing, that he had not lost that spirit and heart that made him who he was. Having been reassured that Naruto was still the same, the Sandame becomes serious once again. No, Naruto, I'm afraid that is going to have to wait a while longer. Your sensei has been apprising me of your progress, and I would like for Yukari-chan to give you a checkup. The two men watched as Yukari examined the boy and, having completed the physical, activated her Byakugan. As she was preparing to turn back to the Hokage and deactivate the Dijitsu, the Sandame signaled her to wait. Naruto, please do push-ups until I tell you to stop. Naruto shrugged and dropped to the floor. Yukari watched for several minutes as he did the exercises. Suddenly the medic gasped in surprise. The Hokage waited for a minute more before telling Naruto to stop. Tell me, Yukari, what did you see? Yukari collected herself before answering her leader. Hokage-sama, I have never seen anything like it. Naruto's chakra was the same up until the height of his exertion. At that point, the Kyuubi's chakra and his began to mix and flow through his muscles. My Byakugan is advanced enough to the point that I could focus on his muscular system. It is amazing. The blended chakra flowed through the muscles, slowly repairing the damage and strengthening it. After the repairs were made, the two chakras separated and returned to normal. Sarutobi gave Naruto a concerned look. What does this mean? I would need to run some tests to be certain, but I believe it means that Naruto's healing rate has been accelerated. If you like, I can take Naruto to the hospital now. I should be done in no more than an hour. Before he could think to stop himself, Naruto muttered, I wonder if this is what he meant. The Hokage whirled to gaze intently at the boy. What do you mean, boy? Naruto shrunk in on himself as Sarutobi glared at him. I would have told you, Hokage-sama, but I just remembered it. When I was in that coma, I met the fox. Naruto proceeded to explain what happened while he was out, including the Kyuubi's mention of a gift. The Sandaime gave the nervous boy a hard look before sighing. That was a potentially dangerous omission, Naruto. Who knows what could have happened, but I suppose given the circumstances of that day I could not blame you for forgetting what could very well have seemed like a dream. However, he paused and stared at the genin. Should something like this happen again, I expect to be told immediately. Do I make myself clear? Hi, Hokage-sama, came the boy's chastened reply. The old man turned back to Yukari. Was there any change to the seal? No, my lord, the seal is perfectly stable. Very well, take Naruto and return once you have the results. The two left the office and Hiruzen lit his pipe. Leaning back in his chair, he addressed the patiently waiting Akasame. I swear, one of these days that boy will be the death of me. True to her word, Yukari returned Naruto to the Hokage's office in an hour. Sarutobi waited patiently as the two were seated and Yukari began her report. Hokage-sama, I have run several tests and we performed a little experiment to test my theory. Please keep in mind that, without further evidence, this is conjecture at best. Sarutobi nodded for her to continue. It appears that Naruto has gained an accelerated regenerative ability. I went back over Naruto's medical files and found that even though we have a record of him healing faster than normal, no one has ever sensed the presence of demonic chakra. So based upon what I saw earlier, Hataki-san's report and Naruto's recollection of what happened in Wave Country, I reached a tentative conclusion. When Naruto's body was flooded with the Kyuubi's chakra during his fight in Wave, his injuries were healed instantly. When the demon's chakra was cut off, his healing rate returned to normal levels. Now, however, he has a constant, albeit limited amount of demonic chakra in his system. Both the Sandaime and Akasame's eyes widened at the implications. Yukari continued, with this in mind I proposed an experiment to which Naruto agreed. I would make a slight incision and monitor the progress of his healing with my Byakugan active. If I was correct, the demonic chakra would heal the cut, if not I would do it. I was surprised when it worked, but not as fast as I had previously seen with his muscle repair. Therefore, to be thorough, I made 3 more incisions of increasing depth. What I saw amazed me. The deeper the cut, the more chakra flooded the injury and the faster it healed. As each cut closed, the amount of chakra decreased and rate at which it healed slowed. Once again, without more evidence, this is only conjecture, but I believe that because of the limited amount of the demon's chakra, it works harder to heal the more serious injuries and tapers off as the danger abates. Theoretically, life-threatening injuries should begin to heal almost instantly. The Hokage considered this new development before speaking. Should we be worried about the additional exposure to the fox's chakra? You said before that increasing levels would harm the boy. Yukari shook her head. While that is true, in this case Naruto's own chakra mixes with that of the demons. I believe this protects him from the temporary influx in much the same way as it acts as a buffer in his coils. Somehow, the two chakras work together in this instance. I can run further tests, but without a significant injury to study we will never be completely sure. The Sandaime smiled as he looked at the nervous expression on Naruto's face. That won't be necessary. Although, should Naruto not keep up with his studies, I could always reconsider. Hey, watch it, old man. Don't forget I'm gonna replace you someday. The 3 elder ninja laughed at his outburst. Very well. It seems as if there is no immediate danger, but I want Naruto to receive a checkup every 2 weeks. Naruto, you are to report to Yukari-chan at the hospital, is that clear? You got it, GG. Yukari-chan is the best. The medic blushed at his exuberant praise. The Hokage smiled indulgently. Now run along and enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget that your training resumes tomorrow. Naruto leaped out the chair and headed for the door. Later, GG, Akasame-sensei, Yukari-chan. Akasame looked back at the other two. He grows on you, doesn't he? Yukari smiled as the Hokage answered. Yes, he certainly does. The following week continued much the same as the first. Naruto made headway with his etiquette lessons and practicing good manners began to come more naturally. This impressed Ayam greatly. While he learned to eat healthier, Akasame allowed him to have ramen 3 times a week. Of course, he refused to waste his precious ramen allotment on the instant stuff. It was Ichiraku's for him. He was even able to convince Iruka to treat him as a reward for his improvement. Speaking of the Chunin, Iruka was pleased with Naruto's progress in his bookwork. It still took time and patience, but the young nin was beginning to pick things up a little faster. Naruto dived into his studies intent on attaining the knowledge he realized all of his former classmates already had. The boy refused to be left behind again. While he was far from a font of information like Sakura, he was now gaining enough to raise his competency to levels equaling the average academy graduate. His training with Akasame was picking up pace as well. Naruto had now calmed down enough to make passable attempts at calligraphy. He still needed work, but he was getting better. It was his physical training that gave the best results. The combination of the Kyuubi's gift, Akasame's torturous regimen, and his own natural determination to improve molded his body into a near-perfect vessel for Shadow Eel. So it was that on the first day of his third week of training, Naruto found himself learning a series of stretches instead of being bundled into the torture trio, as he called the 3 stretching machines. He was also surprised when Akasame cut all of his exercises by half. After only 2 hours of physical training, his sensei called him over. "It is time to introduce you to the basics of the Shadow Eel style. It was for this reason that I cut down your workout. Your body is now well suited for what you will be learning. Starting today for 2 hours you will practice the katas that I will show you. After you learn the first 4, I will start you on a series of training exercises to improve balance, awareness, and further improve your movement. But before we do anything else you must first change into something less restrictive." Naruto's eyes briefly scrunched into confusion before widening in realization. He knew this day would come. Iruka had spent several nights drilling the need to think things through and to plan ahead into him. He had figured out that they would never let him keep his orange jumpsuit, not when it made him a target that was so easy to spot. Sure enough, Akasame pulled out a pair of loose gray sweatpants and a black t-shirt. Naruto suppressed the urge to complain and graciously accepted his new clothes. Akasame was impressed at the self-control the boy demonstrated. He was well aware of his student's need for attention that inspired his choice in clothes. It said much about his growth that he did not complain. When Naruto returned, Akasame led him to a cleared area. "Now pay attention and I will show you the first of the 8 katas you will learn." Akasame proceeded to slowly shift into a sequence of moves. He shifted, ducked, twisted, and rolled in a graceful display. When he was done, he addressed his student. "I want you to throw this kata slowly until I am satisfied that you can do it flawlessly. From there you will increase the pace until you can do it at full speed without mistake. Once you have become proficient with this kata we will move on to the next." Akasame guided Naruto through the kata, correcting mistakes and adjusting his limbs until he was finally able to get through the routine on his own. The practice continued for the next 2 hours. In that time, Naruto had increased the speed of his movements 3 times. Akasame was more than satisfied with his pupil's development. Naruto was surprised when, instead of the normal review of his morning etiquette lessons, his sensei decided to have a conversation with him. "So tell me, Naruto," Naruto bristled at his teacher's pet name, "how have you found your training until now?" "Not just mine but all of your training?" Naruto took time to think of an answer. No longer quite as impulsive as he once was, he considered the question his sensei had posed. "Well, sensei, it's not always fun and I don't always enjoy it, but it's making me stronger. If I can get stronger and stay a ninja then it will all be worth it. No matter how painful, boring, or exhausting, if it helps me reach my dream then I will treasure every moment." Akasame smiled but pressed on. "But do you not want to tell your friends? What about that pink-haired girl you like so much? Do you not want to impress her and show your strength?" Naruto frowned for a moment. "Well, honestly, sensei, I do. But you, Iruka-sensei, and Gigi have all told me how important it is to keep my skills secret. That if people find out what I can do they can counter it, and I would be liable my team would have to protect me. If not bragging means I can keep Sakura-chan safe then that is way more important." Akasame smiled at his student's attempt to broaden his vocabulary. It must be Iruka's influence. What made the man more proud was the maturity the boy was beginning to show. It was further proof that he had made the right choice in training the boy. There was no doubt that the youngster still needed some polish, but the diamond was beginning to show through the coal. Lunch ended and they proceeded to move on with Naruto's chakra exercises. Akasame had decided to take the chakra control training to the next step by introducing his pupil to water walking. Needless to say, it took some time. Naruto's first endeavor failed spectacularly, but as the day rolled on, he began to get the hang of it. Naruto finished his day studying with Iruka. They had advanced beyond purely academic shinobi studies to the more practical. Extending from his study of geography was a lesson on the preferred jutsu and methods of shinobi from other nations. Now that Naruto had a solid understanding of human anatomy, Iruka started to teach him the points that would incapacitate, cripple, or even kill an opponent. Naruto threw himself into his studies with renewed vigor. That is not to say that his time with Iruka was all fun and games. Naruto never wanted to hear another explanation of human reproduction as long as he lived. The following week passed without major incident. Naruto had the first 3 katas down, and was ready to begin the 4th by Monday. He was finally showing some major improvement in his calligraphy and was, to his shock, starting to enjoy it. It brought him a certain peace and tranquility he had never really known. This, by extension, brought him a calm and focus that he had previously had to fight to maintain. It was Thursday of the 4th week when Akasane decided that Naruto had learned the first 4 katas to his satisfaction. The final test had been for Naruto to go through all 4 at full speed 10 times without mistake. Having completed that task, Akasane decided it was now time for the next phase of his training. Alright Naruto, I think that it is time to put your training to practical use. Akasane saw the slight hesitation in his student. Is something wrong, Naruto? Naruto fidgeted as he tried to phrase his question in a way that would not offend his teacher. No, well, I was just wondering when I would start learning stances and attack combos and stuff like that. Akasane let out a hearty laugh. Well, I had wondered how long it would take you. Your patience has grown more than I thought. First of all, never be afraid to ask me questions about your training. I do not want a drone that will follow my instructions without thought. You must understand what it is you are learning for it to do any good. Now as to your question, the answer is never. Naruto looked at his sensei in hurt astonishment. Akasane swiftly explained. You see Naruto, in Shadow Eel, there are no stances or set combos. Shadow Eel is entirely freeform. We fight with a fluidity and unpredictability that would only be hindered by such things. Naruto's eyes came alive with understanding. His master continued. For example, if I trained you in a combo that went from block to knee strike to elbow, then every time you blocked and countered with a knee strike your next instinct would be to follow up with an elbow. However, by simply training you in the proper execution of each attack and relying on your instincts and knowledge, then no one can predict what you will do next, leaving them off balance and defensive. If your opponent is constantly on guard from your attacks, then they are no longer attacking you, which will leave you in control. Control your enemy. Naruto responded. Exactly, my boy. You see, our style itself is not difficult to learn, if you are properly suited for it. Most people just do not have the proper mindset. They require structure that we find limiting. That is why you could never be comfortable with the style taught at the academy. That style is all about structure and discipline. Ours is about confusion and disorder. So are you ready to put your newfound skills to the test? Naruto eagerly agreed. Akasane led the energetic Nin over to the log structure he had seen on his first day. This will be your training ground for the next several days. As you can see, each pole has a series of targets randomly placed around it. When hit, the targets will glow slightly to acknowledge your attack. You must hit the target dead center with enough force to inflict damage on an enemy, or the target will not register. Now, at the beginning of each session I will give you a few numbers. You must hit each target with those numbers on every pole within a time limit, while constantly moving. This will increase your awareness, your speed, and your precision. To start, you will be confined to the outer ring without the netting. As you improve, I will activate the security seals. The seals blast a stream of pressurized water that will hurt if it connects. This will help with your dodging and keep you moving. Remember, if you stop moving you become a target. And do not think you can memorize the positions of the targets, as I will move them around between each session. Akasane chuckled at the pout that appeared on his pupil's face. When I think you are ready and have completed the course to my satisfaction, then we will begin sparring. Naruto was excited to say the least. Finally, he would be able to apply his skills. With his new outlook, he was able to see the benefits of his master's obstacle course. A brief fantasy of him beating Sasuke and Sakura fawning over his awesome manliness drifted through his head. The young Nin quickly squashed those thoughts. That was the old Naruto, now he more concerned with making sure his team would be safe from harm. Naruto turned to his teacher with a fierce resolve burning in his eyes. Whenever you're ready, sensei. Akasane could only marvel at his student's stamina and drive. Within the first 15 minutes he had begun to get the hang of the exercise and had been working steadily ever since. That was not to say he did perfectly. The boy still missed targets, and not all of his strikes were clean enough to register, but he definitely showed promise. His slow but steady improvement led Akasane to hold great faith in his future. Naruto realized that using the movements he had learned in his katas made the activity much easier. His sensei would also occasionally call out with helpful suggestions and advice that increased his performance. The two biggest contributions were a reference to tree climbing that led him to use the poles as stepping stones to get around obstacles and reach out of the way targets, and mention of using his peripheral vision to acquire targets. Armed with these hints, his performance nearly doubled. By lunch, Naruto was tired, sweaty, and utterly ecstatic. His teacher had praised his progress while still acknowledging a need to improve. Naruto did not care, so long as he had gained a step on the road to full ninja status and eventually the title of Hokage. Naruto was introduced to a new form of chakra control once lunch ended. Instead of merely walking on water, he was now to practice his katas on the water. This forced him to channel chakra to various parts of his body, while still maintaining enough concentration to execute his drills correctly. This had the added benefit of eventually enabling him to carry out both activities unconsciously. As Naruto's first month of training drew to a close, the other members of Team 7 had not been idle. Sasuke had moved on from his emotional control training to learning the intricacies of his Sharingan. This led to him acquiring the second tomo in his left eye. Kakashi also laid down a set of ground rules governing its use that led to a heated discussion. I still don't see why you won't let me use my Sharingan while I train. It will give me the power that I need. Sasuke bit off the rest of that statement, knowing full well what it would lead to. While he hated Kakashi for putting him through that ordeal, the boy had to admit that it led to fewer mistakes on his part. Not that he would say so out loud. Kakashi sighed at the stubbornness of the Uchiha. Think of it this way, Sasuke. Let's say you do all your training using the Sharingan. You become an A-rank nin. During the course of a mission, you come across an S-rank nin who attacks you. Because you relied on your Dijutsu, you have no surprises and are quickly outmatched. Now, let's say you do things my way. You become an A-rank nin and face off against the same S-rank. Now you have a powerful tool at your disposal that increases your chance at survival. I'm not saying to totally ignore training your Sharingan, but if you train your skills without it, when you do use it they will be that much more effective. Do you understand? Sasuke hated to admit it, but the man had a point. Having a Sharingan himself and with the reputation the boy now knew he had, maybe, just maybe he should listen. Fine. I will do as you request. Kakashi smiled at his young protege. Meanwhile Sakura had her own training to worry about. She had found over the last month that her formerly lazy teacher could be a merciless slave driver. She secretly harbored the notion that his former laid-back attitude had just been him saving up to unleash a torturous hell on them now. Her body constantly ached from the abuse he inflicted under the guise of training. However, complain as she might, she could not argue with the results. Her chakra reserve had more than doubled and her stamina and speed increased as well. The biggest changes were in her taijutsu and genjutsu. Sakura had always prided herself on her textbook execution of the academy taijutsu style, so it was disheartening to hear sensei claim her skills to be lacking. Kakashi explained that she was too rigid and adhered to the textbook application instead of adjusting to fit her own growth and the situation at hand. Under the Jounin, she found a finesse and adaptability she had sorely lacked. Sakura's favorite training by far was her genjutsu training. Apparently, the girl took to genjutsu like a duck to water. Sakura found something in the art that she formerly lacked: confidence. In finding her niche, she no longer doubted her own worth to her team. She knew she had a place here. Her skill was such that she could even catch Sasuke in her illusions. Her crowning achievement was catching him once with his Sharingan active. Of course, he quickly dispelled it, only to find Sakura's kunai at his throat. Combined with the medic training Kakashi has signed her up for, this was molding the girl into the ultimate support ninja. Sakura's increase in skill went a long way towards improving Sasuke's view of his pink-haired teammate. Before she was just another annoying fangirl, but now, she was a budding kunoichi who showed promise. Not that it changed his romantic feelings. He still refused to go out with the girl, but at least now, she was useful. So he tried, at the behest of Kakashi, to be a little nicer to her. None of Team 7 mentioned the aching void they all felt. They all found themselves missing the lovable blonde idiot at various times. Kakashi, for all his new seriousness, missed his former student's antics. The boy really lightened the mood, and without him things tended to be too somber for his taste. Sasuke would sometimes find himself turning to smirk at the boy after an achievement only to find him gone. He couldn't understand when his absent teammate had become someone worthy of his attention, but he had. Sakura was affected the most. Her days were just not as bright without him constantly begging her for a date. As annoying as he could be, Naruto had a way of making her feel good about herself. No matter how bad she felt, he could always put a smile on her face. Naruto really was the heart of Team 7, and they sorely missed him. Ready? 2, 3, and 5. Begin. Akasame stood on the central pillar of the obstacle course overseeing his young apprentice. Naruto launched himself into the course, striking 2 targets as he went. The young nin turned his forward charge into a roll, springing up into an uppercut at another target. He still found it difficult to hit all the numbered targets his sensei called out while avoiding the others, especially since he had to keep moving the whole time. Remember, Naruto, constant motion is the key. When you stop, you become easier to hit. Naruto suddenly shifted to his right as a kunai zipped through the space he had just vacated. Slipping into a spin, he lashed out with a side kick into another target. He used the resistance of the pole to push off into a reverse spin as he leaped up to deliver a crushing roundhouse to another pole. Very good. Other ninja may throw punches or kicks, we lash out with crippling strikes and devastating blows. Use the strength of your center. Your power comes from your hips and waist. Lash out with speed and recover quickly. That is the essence of Shadow Eel. Akasame was pleased with the boy's growth. With the introduction of practical application, Naruto's skill in the style had drastically improved. Naruto leaped, rolled, dived and dodged the occasional kunai as he made his way through the course. He was just happy that his teacher stuck to the outer area. The inner area with all that rope woven throughout the logs was just plain intimidating. The exercise was hard enough as it was. Naruto cursed as his last strike hit off-center and wasn't registered by the target. He was coming closer to being able to complete the course with a perfect score. Hell, if his sensei would stop cutting the time he had to finish, he would have done it already. Akasame smiled. He knew Naruto was frustrated with his apparent lack of progress, But the boy did not realize that by giving him less time to complete the exercise, he was forcing him to increase his speed of both body and mind. Naruto's natural aptitude for on-the-spot planning and analysis had only grown as time passed. His ability was rough and undefined, but with time and polish, the boy could be an excellent field leader. Maybe it was time to introduce him to strategy games. Akasame called a stop several minutes later. He ran a practiced eye over the field as his student ran up. Out of 195 targets you missed 12, and you hit 4 of the wrong targets. Not bad, but there is room for improvement. Remember to use your peripheral vision and build a mental map of the area around you. You can always return at a later time to catch the ones you miss. But if you hit the wrong target, you cannot take that back. Sensei, this would be easier if you quit moving the targets around and cutting my time down, Naruto pouted. His teacher looked at him with an amused expression. Do you think your enemies will be as helpful? Do you think they will give you time to act and remain in place while you do so? Hi Sensei, I know. I just don't want to fail you. I don't want to let down you or Hokage Gigi after all you have done for me. Akasame felt a swell of pride in his pupil. Naruto, I could not be prouder of you if you were my own flesh and blood. As long as you strive to improve and never give up, then you will never let me down. I'm sure Hokage-sama feels the same way. Naruto fought the tears that threatened to fall from his eyes. Thank you, Sensei. The last week had been exhausting even for the violet-eyed bundle of energy. His morning practice now focused on perfecting his movements and repeatedly running the training course. His afternoon chakra control lessons had evolved into full spars on top of the training pool. Needless to say, the constant evasive maneuvers he had to go through while staying on the surface raised his control substantially. Naruto found it hard to believe that 5 weeks had already passed since he began his training. It had been hard and at times painful, but he had gained so much from his training. He would never be able to express his gratitude to his teachers and the Hokage for giving him this chance. Lunch passed quickly. All meals were now solely prepared by Naruto, Akasame being confident in the boy's rudimentary culinary ability. It was a quiet and relaxing affair as Naruto's burgeoning sense of propriety had finally kicked in. His etiquette lessons had tapered off, and now the two just enjoyed the meals and the company. When Naruto finished his training for the day, Akasame called him over. Naruto, you have grown much in the time that you have been with me, and I see the potential that you possess. That is why starting Monday your training schedule will be altered. From now on after lunch you will no longer be training with me. Seeing the look of protest on the boy's face, he quickly headed off the impending argument. This is because you will now be receiving training from your new sensei. That caught the blonde's attention. What new skill would he be learning now? Maybe he would become an awesome swordsman or learn some cool secret ninja technique that didn't require chakra. Naruto remembered his training and calmed himself. What will I be learning now, sensei? And who is my new teacher? Is it anyone I know? Akasame chuckled at the boy's enthusiasm. Well, I'm not sure about that. I was told to have you report to the Hokage's office after lunch on Monday. Naruto was ecstatic. He would be getting a new teacher and learning a new skill. It could not get any better. Naruto's exuberance lasted only until he met up with Irika at his apartment. The Chunin was regrettably forced to tell him that their time together had come to an end. On one hand, Naruto was happy when Irika told him that he was proud of the progress he had made in his studies, but he would miss the man he thought of as an older brother. To cushion the blow the news had inflicted, Irika treated the melancholy genin to ramen at Ichiraku's. Naruto went to bed that night glad that tomorrow was his day off. While he was disappointed that he wouldn't be learning from Irika, he was eager to see what new things he would be learning and who his new mystery teacher was. Naruto woke up early Sunday morning. He did not wake up that early by choice but as a consequence of his training. After a hearty breakfast, he pulled out his calligraphy set and began to practice. Where once he found the art to be boring and difficult, as he gained some semblance of skill and patience, he began to enjoy the calming relaxation it brought on. After 2 hours of practice, he packed up his supplies and considered what he would do for the rest of the day. He enjoyed his days off but didn't go out much to avoid running into his former classmates. It was not that he didn't want to see them, but it would be awkward to explain what he had been doing lately. Finally, he decided that enough was enough and he needed to get out more. Naruto thought about taking a walk around the village or maybe finding the Konoha Corps and playing ninja with them in the park. Looking at the clock, he decided that it was still a bit too early for that. So, having nothing else to do, he pulled out the book that Irika had given him the night before. Leave it to the Chunin teacher to give a guy a book. As he opened the cover, he saw a handwritten note. Naruto, I want you to know that I have complete faith in you. Never let anything stop you. Your heart and spirit are greater than anyone I have ever known. Here is something to guide you as you follow the path to your dream. I'm proud of you, Irika. Naruto smiled and blinked back a tear as he flipped the page. He was pleasantly surprised to find it was a book about the exploits of the Hokages. Naruto sat engrossed as he read about the Shodaime and Nidaime founding the village. He was astounded at fact that the Sandaime was known as the professor and the god of shinobi. He had no idea that old Coot was that strong, but it just served to increase the respect he already had for the man. But what truly captivated him was his personal hero, the Yondaime. Naruto read about the Yellow Flash, and how he was instrumental in ending the Third Shinobi War. The young boy sat for several minutes just staring at a picture of the ninja legend, standing with his arms folded on the back of a giant toad with his signature coat flowing in the breeze and a smile on his face. This was the man he wished to be like, no to surpass. He sighed and put the book away. Naruto moved around his small apartment, watering his plants and generally tidying up the place. He got dressed and went out when he was done. He walked around the village with no particular destination in mind. As he wandered, he noticed that he still received those cold looks and hard stares, but he found that, while it still hurt, the pain had lessened substantially. Naruto smiled as he thought of the people in his life, especially those who were helping him reach his goals. As long as they believed in him, then to hell with what the rest of these bastards thought. I'll protect them all in spite of how they treat me. That's what a Hokage does. Naruto realized he had reached the park. Sure enough, Konohamaru was there with his two friends Moegi and Udan. The three kids were chasing each other around a couple of trees when they finally caught sight of him. Boss, Naruto Niken. Naruto could not help but smile at his miniature fan club. Hey guys, what are you up to? Konohamaru, the de facto leader of the bunch, was quick to reply. We're playing ninja, boss. Moegi smiled shyly at the older boy. Would you come and play with us, Naruto Niken? Please? Naruto broke out in a wide grin. Sure guys. Let's go. The three academy students raced around trying to corner the genin as he laughed and kept ahead of them. They spent half the day playing in the park. As the afternoon drew near, the four lay in the shade of a tree resting. Naruto suddenly sat up and looked around. Not bad, kid. Good to see those ninja senses are still active. The Konohamaru Corps looked up to see Sarutobi Asuma resting on a branch of a nearby tree. Uncle Asuma, what are you doing here? Asuma leaped down to land in front of the four. Sorry to bust up the fun, but Pops sent me to get you three. A chorus of complaint burst forth from the trio. Asuma smiled indulgently as he took a drag of his cigarette. He turned to Naruto and gave him a once-over. How you been, kid? I heard about what happened. Tough break. Hey Asuma-sensei. I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. You haven't seen the last of Uzumaki Naruto, Naruto said. Asuma could only marvel at the confidence and optimism of the boy. That's good to hear. Have you been keeping in touch with your old team? Naruto squinted up at the man as he considered his answer. Nah, I haven't seen them, but they're probably busy. I was working on something, so I haven't been around much. Asuma looked at the kid with a hint of suspicion. Yeah, well, I heard that after your accident, Kakashi started working them into the ground. To be honest, I think I should probably step up my team's training too. Anyway, it's good to see you, kid. Tell Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji that I said hi. Asuma waved in reply and they parted ways. As Asuma watched the energetic youngster run off, he thought about what the kid said. I wonder what he's up to and if Pops has anything to do with it. He took another drag on his cigarette. Maybe I should talk to Kakashi, he might know something. He thought it over for a second. I'll do it later. I wonder if Kurenai is busy tonight. With that, he herded the three rugrats out of the park as visions of a red-eyed beauty brought a slight blush to his face. Naruto strolled sedately through the village on the way to the Hokage's office. Akisame let him leave early after lunch, so he was in no hurry. Naruto smiled as he remembered his morning practice. Akisame had finally started incorporating the use of kunai and shuriken into Naruto's training. Of course, this meant that now he had to increase his accuracy with the weapons, but his time in the obstacle course would help with that. Naruto greeted the guards at the tower as he made his way up to see the old man. He could not help but wonder what he would be learning and who he would learn it from. When he reached the secretary's desk, he felt a brief pang at seeing a pretty female Chunin instead of Irika. The scarred teacher had been released to prepare for the next semester of the academy. Naruto wanted to make a good impression, so he decided to practice the manners that had been drilled into him. Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I was told to see Hokage-sama. The secretary was surprised to say the least. This was not the bratty loudmouth prankster that the village was familiar with. While she herself did not care for the twerp, the Sandame had stressed that he would take any unfair treatment of the boy personally. Therefore, seeing how he made an attempt to be polite, the least she could do was return the favor. Good afternoon, Uzumaki-san. My name is Kazara. Hokage-sama told me to send you in as soon as you arrived. Thank you, Kazara-san, he said as he entered the office. Sarutobi sat behind his desk going over a scroll as the young nin entered. Ah, Naruto, my boy, how have you been? Naruto smiled at the old-timer. Pretty good, Gigi. What about you? You ready to hand over that hat yet? Sarutobi laughed at the boy's enthusiasm. Not just yet, Naruto-kun. No, I wanted to inform you of the next stage of your training. Akisame-san has told me that you are advancing faster than he expected in learning Shadow Eel, and Irika has given me a glowing report on your progress in making up your academy lessons. It was for that reason, along with Irika returning as an instructor, that I have decided to add 2 new areas of study to your training. Because you have shown sufficient maturity, focus, and dedication, I am entrusting you with the responsibility of learning Bojutsu and Fuinjutsu. The Sandame paused as he looked at the genin. Naruto gave a valiant effort to remain patient, but he couldn't take it anymore. So who's going to teach me? The old fire shadow gave him a mischievous grin. I am. Naruto nearly fainted at the news. He, the dead last, the failure, the outcast, would be receiving lessons from the professor himself. What happened next not only surprised Sarutobi but would have shocked anyone who had known Naruto. The boy got up and solemnly bowed before the Sandaime. With a sense of gravity that few would think him capable of, he addressed his leader. Thank you, Hokage-sama, for this honor. I will strive to uphold the trust you have placed in me, and I promise to learn all you have to teach me. I only wish to make you proud. Sarutobi smiled, knowing he had chosen wisely. I am already proud of you, my boy. I could not be any prouder than if you were my own grandson. Naruto was growing to become a true shinobi of the leaf. Naruto rose, his eyes glistening and a wide cheeky grin plastered on his face. Thanks, Gigi. I won't let you down. Sarutobi smiled indulgently at him. He reached into his desk and pulled out a scroll edged in red. He gave it to the excited genin before speaking. This scroll contains the basic theories and applications of seals. Read the first 3 chapters tonight. Starting tomorrow you will report here after lunch. I will have a desk set up for your use. You will study every day and be tested on the information you learn. Should you prove able and I determine you to be ready, I will instruct you on creating basic seals. Remember, Naruto, seals are an extremely dangerous area of study that is usually only taught once you become a Chunin. Were it not for your inability to use ninjutsu and genjutsu, I would hesitate to teach you this. Should you abuse my trust or show no talent for the art, then the lessons will end with no argument. Am I understood? Naruto quickly nodded his head. Good. After 2 hours we will move to a private room where I will begin your training in the use of the bow staff. Naruto could not contain his grin at the news. He would show the old man his faith was not misplaced. Nothing would stop him. 2 weeks had passed since Naruto began training with the Sandaime, and he could not have been happier. Well, maybe if Akasame would stop using his training as a chance to hit him with sharp pointy objects, but that would be asking too much. Honestly, it was as if the man enjoyed torturing his student, never mind that it increased his awareness and reflexes tremendously. But he was tired of patching his training clothes every Sunday. As for his training with the Sandaime, well, he enjoyed the bojutsu practice, but the fuinjutsu lessons were a pain. His first week Sarutobi taught him the basics, like how to hold the staff and how to execute a proper strike and defend himself. The most important lesson was to make the staff an extension of your body. Naruto took this concept and ran with it. Naruto simply incorporated his bojutsu into his shadow eel to make a potentially devastating new style. What he lost in maneuverability he gained in reach and deflective ability. He became particularly adept at using one end of the staff to intercept and shift his opponent's attack while using the other end to counterattack. Sarutobi saw this and, instead of trying to force him to learn a formal style, decided to focus on increasing his skill with basic maneuvers. Naruto's fuinjutsu lessons, while productive, did not come as easy. The meditation and calligraphy lessons came fully into play during this time. He would never have been able to concentrate on the dry theory he was forced to learn. But it paid off in the end, since today he would finally be allowed to learn actual seals. Naruto sat at his desk with barely suppressed anticipation. The old man smiled at his eager pupil before adopting a stern expression and beginning the lesson. Now, Naruto, since you have gained a solid working knowledge of the basic theory of sealing, today I will teach you one of the most common and widely used seals. The storage seal will become one of your most used seals. Particularly for you, since you will have to rely on weapons for mid to long range combat. But for any shinobi, storage seals and storage scrolls are useful for carrying a large amount of equipment without being burdened by a cumbersome or heavy pack. Shuriken, kunai, supplies, a wide variety of object can be stored for latter use. Naruto raised his hand. So then if I use scrolls, then I can have a whole bunch of weapons and not have to worry about running out. That is correct. But remember, the scroll only contains what was sealed into it. There are several different types of storage seals, but today we will start with the most basic. The Hokage spent the next 15 minutes demonstrating the seal, then having Naruto copy it while he watched and corrected him. When Naruto was finally able to recreate the seal, he continued perfectly. Now I want you to practice drawing the seal. Remember, the seal must be drawn correctly. Any imperfections could result in it not working or working incorrectly. You must focus and concentrate. Practice until drawing the seal becomes second nature. Naruto spent the rest of the lesson practicing the storage seal. At the end of the day, the Sandaime had him draw the seal 10 times in a row. When Naruto copied the seal perfectly each time, he was impressed. Very good, Naruto-kun. I did not expect you to get it this quickly. Naruto scratched the back of his head and grinned. It must have been all that calligraphy I've been doing. A thought struck Naruto, leaving him gaping at the smug fire shadow. Hey! That's why you and Akasame-sensei made me learn it. You knew it would help. You've been planning this from the start, old man, he accused. The Sandaime laughed and nodded his head. That's right, my boy. Now, as a reward for learning the seals so quickly, I want you to take these scrolls. He handed the boy 3 scrolls. Use these to make your own storage scrolls. Thanks, Gigi, he replied. So what other seals are you going to teach me? The Sandaime eyed Naruto speculatively. I have decided to supplement your combat ability by teaching you 2 more seals. I believe you have shown the maturity required to use them wisely. Naruto stood solemnly, realizing the gravity of his teacher's decision. Therefore, next I will teach you to make exploding notes and shock tags. These will be useful in giving you more long-range offensive capability. It took all of his willpower for Naruto to contain his excitement. The Hokage had shown great trust in him, and it would be so foolish as to blow it by acting like an overeager idiot. Thank you, sir. I promise to use what you teach me wisely. Good. Now let's get going. You still have to practice your bojutsu. With that, the two headed to the training room for the rest of his lesson. Team 7 had been busy over the last month as well. Sakura had been working with Kakashi to expand beyond the basic taijutsu. While she had yet to learn a new style, she adapted the academy style to make it her own. She had practiced the 3 genjutsu she learned until she could do them flawlessly, and even created her own with help from Kakashi. She had even gotten to the point where she could combine them if she was careful. Sakura was most proud of her budding medic skills. The young kunoichi had mastered basic first aid and had begun to learn medical jutsu. Besides diagnostic and anesthetic techniques, she had learned the most basic healing jutsu. Meanwhile, Sasuke had been training to increase the speed of his hand seals and mastering the fire jutsu he had already learned. Kakashi had also forced him to increase his chakra reserves and control. Kakashi helped Sasuke adjust to using the Uchiha intercepting fist taijutsu style with his Sharingan active. The last 2 weeks were spent training together. Both genin had been taught water walking and teamwork exercises. Where before the drills were done to promote teamwork, they were now done to help them become acquainted with their new abilities. So far they worked well together, but Kakashi knew they were missing one integral piece to make them perfect. This is why Kakashi found himself waiting for his team that Friday. After having spoken with the Hokage, both Sakura and Sasuke were surprised to see Kakashi sitting on one of the logs in the training ground while reading his little orange book. Neither genin had seen the book in the past 2 months. Sakura looked at Sasuke questioningly, to which he just shrugged. Kakashi closed his book and smiled at his students. He did so love messing with their minds. Good morning, my cute little genin, the masked nin said. Good morning, Kakashi-sensei. Morning. The 2 kids knew something was up. Their teacher had not acted this strange in a while. You will be happy to know that practice is cancelled until Monday morning. Do you have a mission, sensei? Sakura responded. No, I just thought you should get some rest before meeting your new teammate, Kakashi stated in an offhand manner. Sasuke and Sakura were both caught off guard. While they knew intellectually that they would have to get a new teammate, it had not really sunk in. A small part of them kept expecting Naruto to show up. Sakura in particular felt guilty, as she had not visited her former teammate since he was in the hospital, and even then, he was unconscious. Kakashi had kept them so busy they really did not have time during the week, and on her one-off day, all she wanted to do was rest. Sasuke really was not sure how he felt about the news. If he was completely honest with himself, he found that he did rather miss the smiling idiot. He just hoped the new guy was at least competent. Sakura had finally become useful, and he dreaded having another useless member on the team. Ano sensei, who is our new teammate? And what about Naruto? What will he do? Sakura was embarrassed that she had no clue what the boy had been up to since leaving the team, but she did wish him the best. Maybe since she was off she would go visit him today. Kakashi held a finger to his chin, appearing to be lost in thought. I have no idea. We'll find out Monday when we meet in the Hokage's office at 8 o'clock. As for Naruto, Asuma said he saw him a while back playing with the Hokage's grandson and his friends. Other than that, the Jounin shrugged. Anyway, get some rest and enjoy yourselves until Monday. Ja-ni. With that, the copy nin shined away. Sakura turned to Sasuke and asked, Hey Sasuke-kun, do you want to go with me to visit Naruto? Sasuke looked at the girl as he considered his answer. Even though he did miss Naruto slightly, he was no longer a member of their team, so why try to hold on to that connection? Why? It is pointless. Naruto is no longer on our team and we won't have time to see him regularly anyway, so why bother? Having said his piece, the emotionally closed-off boy headed home. Sakura was taken aback at Sasuke's apathetic attitude. She felt as if they had grown closer over the last few weeks, and that he had been slowly coming out of his emotional shell. To hear him speak like that about their former teammate both hurt and infuriated her. She couldn't help but ask herself if he would feel the same if it were her. Sakura shook off the negative feelings. She would just visit Naruto herself. Sakura headed for Naruto's apartment. Since it was still morning and knowing Naruto hated waking up early, she assumed he would still be home in bed. Needless to say, Sakura was a bit put out when, after knocking for several minutes, no one answered the door. Just as her frustration was about to get the better of her, one of his neighbors saw her at his door. If you're looking for that pest, he isn't here. He leaves out early every morning. Don't know where he goes, don't much care either. Better than him hanging around here, the old lady said. Well, thank you. Sakura wondered why the woman didn't seem to like Naruto, but then she figured Naruto must have pulled a prank on her. But still she asked herself, if Naruto was no longer a ninja, where was he going every day? Saturday morning found Naruto in a state of confusion. After breakfast, instead of heading to the training area, Akasame led Naruto to the Hokage Tower. The elder man refused to answer any of Naruto's questions, so he decided to practice patience and just wait until they got there. He was doubly confused when they entered the Sandame's office to find Jiraiya and Iruka there waiting with Sarutobi. They all greeted each other and sat at the behest of the Hokage. Naruto, I have invited your teachers here to talk to you about your future. Naruto looked at the old man with just a hint of anxiety. We have discussed your development since you began your training, and I have come to a decision. Hiruzen turned to Iruka. Would you like to do the honors? Iruka smiled. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Come here, Naruto. Naruto was a bit apprehensive as he walked to the Chunin. Naruto, it is my pleasure to welcome you back into the ranks as an active shinobi. Naruto was speechless. The four older nin looked on as he tried to contain the tears of joy that threatened to fall from his eyes. He turned and bowed to them. Thank you, Iruka-sensei, Akasame-sensei, Jiraiya-san, and especially you, Hokage-sama. If it weren't for you, I don't know what I would have done. I will try to repay your kindness and your faith in me by becoming a great shinobi and eventually the greatest Hokage in history. Sarutobi smiled proudly at his most recent pupil. We know you will, Naruto. Now, as your teachers, we have chosen to get you some gifts that will help you in your return to active duty. Akasame stepped up first. Here you are, Naruto-chan, he said with a kind smile. Naruto opened the box to find several sets of shinobi uniforms. His eyes widened at what he saw. But sensei, you said? I know what I said. That is why they are reversible. You will notice that the inside is dark green. When on missions you can turn it inside out for better stealth. I know how much you love orange, and I did not have the heart to totally take it away. Thank you, sensei, the boy gratefully replied. Iruka came next. I gave you this once before, Naruto, and it gives me great pleasure to give you another. Iruka handed him a length of black cloth that unfolded to reveal a new forehead protector. This new one can open up into a bandana to hide that bright blonde head of yours. It goes with your new stealthy look. The Chunin then pulled out a small package. Hokage-sama told me about your learning Jutsu, so I talked to Jiraiya-sama, and he helped me pick out this. Naruto opened the box to find several brushes, inkwells, and empty vials and bowls. This is a basic Jutsu set. It contains sealing ink, and the vials and bowls are for when you need to collect and mix other elements into your ink for special seals. Thanks you, Iruka-sensei, the boy cried happily. Jiraiya handed Sarutobi a small package. Taking the bundle, Hiruzen turned back to Naruto. This is from both Jiraiya and I. Naruto opened the package and pulled out a set of black fingerless gloves with a metal plate on the back engraved with the symbol of the leaf. Now, my boy, these gloves are engraved with a special conversion seal. When the seal is activated and you channel chakra to your hands, it will convert your chakra into lightning chakra. Cool, so when I hit someone it will shock them, right? That is correct. Did you make these, Gigi? Before Sarutobi could answer, Jiraiya interrupted. No, the old monkey got me to do it. After all, I am one of the greatest seal masters alive. Jiraiya beamed at the young boy as Hiruzen glowered at him. The Sandame reached behind his desk and pulled out a beautiful hardwood bow staff with metal caps at each end. This is from me. May it serve you well. Naruto was so choked up he could hardly speak. Not only was he going to be able to once again work towards his dream, but some of his most precious loved ones were giving him the tools to succeed. Naruto jumped out of his seat and hugged the man he came to consider a grandfather. Thank you, Gigi. Thank you all for everything. They all smiled indulgently at the emotion genin. Now all that is left is to reunite you with your team. Report back Monday morning at 8. Until then, enjoy your weekend and have some ramen on me. The Hokage pulled out his wallet and handed him some money. Naruto raced out of the office on his way to Ichiraku's. He felt better than he had in a long time. He would finally be back with his team, with his family. Team 7 arrived at the Hokage's office shortly before 8 that Monday morning. The Chunin secretary showed them right in. After greeting the Sandame, they stood in front of his desk and awaited their new teammate. Hiruzen watched them as they stood there. Sasuke appeared disinterested and Sakura seemed a bit glum. Kakashi, on the other hand, was quietly amused. At precisely 8 o'clock, the Chunin secretary knocked on the door. Hokage-sama, the genin you were waiting for has arrived. Thank you, Kazara. Please send him in. Sarutobi looked at Team 7 with a hint of pleasure. Allow me to introduce your new teammate. The door opened and the two genin were flabbergasted by who walked in. I believe you three know Uzumaki Naruto? Naruto stood there with a bright smile on his face. Sakura and Sasuke were both speechless at the changes in the boy. Gone was the hideous orange jumpsuit, and in its place he wore black ninja sandals, dark gray pants, a short-sleeve mesh undershirt and a dark orange vest. On his head he wore a new forehead protector on black cloth and fingerless black gloves on his hands. Naruto wore 2 kunai holsters, one on each thigh, a utility pouch on his right hip and 3 scrolls on his left. The most remarkable changes were the physical ones. Naruto had always been short. Now he was roughly the same height as Sasuke. He had lost some of the baby fat in his face, giving him a more mature look. His normally baby blue eyes were now a vibrant violet hue, and the birthmarks on his cheeks seemed darker and more rugged. The overall impression was one of seriousness and competence. Naruto grinned. Hey guys, did you miss me? Now it was Naruto's turn to be shocked when Sakura threw herself at him with a choked cry. Sasuke watched impassively as his female teammate hugged the blonde while babbling incoherently. Most people would have missed it, but Kakashi and Sarutobi each saw the slight smile that momentarily broke out on his face. Once Sakura had collected herself, the Hokage addressed the team. Now I know that you have many questions and a lot of catching up to do, so you are dismissed. Kakashi, take the rest of the week to allow them to get reacquainted with one another. He turned to the genin. Use this time to familiarize yourselves with each other's abilities. I trust that you three will do fine. Kakashi, wait here for a second. You three wait for me at the training ground. I will be there shortly. Kakashi turned to his leader once his team had left. Hokage-sama? Sarutobi leaned back in his chair and lit his pipe before speaking. I know we discussed Naruto and his abilities when we met last Friday. I want to know what you intend to do now. As you know, the Chunin exams are in 2 weeks and there has been much interest from those who wish to see the last Uchiha participate. After taking a long draw, he continued, the choice is up to you as their sensei. Do you wish to enter Team 7 into the Chunin exams? Kakashi considered the choice for a minute before responding. Yes, Hokage-sama, I, Hatake Kakashi, wish to nominate Team 7 consisting of Harino Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke, and Uzumaki Naruto for the Chunin exams. Sarutobi raised his eyebrows at this. While he felt obligated to ask, he had never expected Kakashi to actually do it. Would you like to explain your reasons? Kakashi hesitated momentarily before he answered. I understand that Naruto has just returned to active duty and they have yet to work together in the field, but I believe this would be a good experience for them. I know you would not have let Naruto return had you not believed him ready, and since the exams are in Konoha this year, it will be the safest time for them to gain working knowledge of the exam. Not only that, but it will give all three of them the chance to gain real combat experience in a venue that, while still dangerous, will be more manageable than if we were out in the field. Kakashi waited as the Sandaime contemplated his response. Very well, Kakashi, I will trust your judgment. Team 7 is hereby entered into the Chunin exams. But Kakashi, let me make one thing clear. Sarutobi rose from his seat to glare at the sweating Jounin while releasing a moderate amount of killing intent. Should these children not be prepared and anything happens to them, you will answer to me personally. Do I make myself clear? Hi, Hokage-sama, the man gasped in reply. Very well then, you may go. That was close, Kakashi thought. Now to make sure I have nothing to worry about. With that thought, he wandered off to meet his team with visions of the new forms of torture he could put them through. The genin of Team 7 walked silently through the village on the way to the training ground, each lost in their own thoughts. Naruto sported a slight blush and a cheeky grin as he basked in the memory of Sakura hugging him. Said Rosette kept her eyes fixed firmly on the ground as embarrassment tinged her ears and neck red. Sasuke maintained his normal stoic facade while internally his mind raced as he tried to decipher this new turn of events. Team 7 reached their favorite training ground and Sasuke finally could endure no longer. He rounded on his new teammate, determined to get answers. Okay, Dobe, what the hell is going on? The last we heard, you could not use Jutsu. What happened? Did they fix it? Sakura could not believe it. Sasuke had never shown this much interest in anyone as far as she could recall. Naruto, what happened on the bridge? The only thing I saw was Kakashi-sensei accidentally stab you with his attack. Please tell us what is going on. We thought your ninja career was over and now you are back on the team. Talk to us, please. Sakura's voice held confusion and concern. Naruto sat with his back against one of the 3 posts situated in the ground. The same one he had been tied to after the bell test, as he remembered. The young man sighed and contemplated his answer. While he could not tell them the whole truth, they deserved an explanation. Well, I don't remember everything, but I'll tell you what I can. Naruto looked up at the sky so he would not have to look his team in the eye as he lied. I remember fighting on the bridge when Sasuke went down. He sacrificed himself for me. Sasuke looked away from the two as heat crept into his cheeks. He didn't know himself what made him move to protect the Dobe, he just did. Naruto continued, it hurt, after I promised never to need saving, for him to have to protect me. I got mad. All I could see was red. I felt chakra flow through my body, making me stronger, and I attacked the hunter Nin. That's when we heard the noise from Kakashi-sensei's jutsu. Haku went to save Zabuza, but I chased him. I couldn't let him get away after what he did. I was blinded by my rage and got between sensei and Zabuza. The lightning chakra from sensei's jutsu combined with the chakra and did something to my coils. From what the medic told me, I probably won't ever be able to use jutsu again. Sasuke clenched and unclenched his fist as he listened to Naruto's story. The young Uchiha felt anger, confusion, and shame. The anger and confusion were directed towards the blonde. Who was Sasuke to him that he would go that far to avenge his apparent death? The shame was solely directed at himself, that he would be so weak that he even needed Naruto of all people to avenge him. Oh, Naruto. Sakura knew she had underestimated the young genin before her. She was still curious, but that doesn't explain how you're a ninja still. Wouldn't it be dangerous for you, since you can't? She trailed off, not wanting to embarrass the boy. She need not have bothered. Naruto had a suspicious grin plastered on his face. Nay, Sakura-chan, don't worry about me. I've been training since I got out of the hospital. You'll see I'm an awesome ninja. I won't let something like that stop me." Neither remaining member of Team 7 could believe his confidence. His voice held so much conviction that despite the situation, they found themselves almost believing that he could. Sakura smiled. It was good to have him back. Sasuke sat down next to the boy. "Che, whatever dope. We have been training hard as well, so you better be able to keep up." Sakura turned just fast enough to see the ghost of a smile on Sasuke's face. Naruto laughed. "Just watch, team. I'll be kicking your butt up and down this field." With that statement, it was made clear to anyone who knew them that Team 7 was back. Kakashi watched his pupils. He had arrived just as Naruto began his story and hidden in the trees. This was something the boy had to do on his own. Kakashi raised an eyebrow at Naruto's clever twisting of the truth. But he was even prouder of the reactions of the other two. It showed that they had begun to grow up and that beyond anything else they were a team. Now that they were finally reunited, it was time to establish the teamwork that would see them through the trails ahead. Kakashi had to hone them into a solid fighting unit. After all, it was his neck on the line. Naruto suppressed an impudent grin. They had spent the last hour sparring against each other, and then together against Kakashi. The other 3 members of his squad were amazed at his unorthodox fighting style. Kakashi had been briefed by the Sandaime about the young genin's training, but he had never expected anything like this. Naruto was never quite where you expected him to be. He was always in motion, and seemed to either avoid or redirect any force used against him. Sasuke was frustrated by the blonde's new style. The Uchiha survivor never expected his teammate to be this good. After 5 minutes he was finally forced to activate his Sharingan, and what he saw both perplexed and intimidated him. Normally when Sasuke used his Jujutsu for melee combat, it allowed him to see his opponent's movements an instant before they made them. This in turn enabled him to respond faster than normal. This was the true secret to the Uchiha intercepting fist. When Sasuke faced Naruto, however, instead of seeing what move he would make, he saw a hazy jumble of several movements. It was only when Naruto actually began his maneuver that the images would snap into focus, but by then it was too late. Sasuke realized that somehow Naruto's taijutsu style practically circumvented his greatest weapon. Sakura had it even worse. Even with his Sharingan ineffectual, Sasuke was still gifted at combat and had a personal style he trained extensively in. Sakura had made the academy style work for her but was nowhere near the Uchiha's level of skill. Naruto seemed to simply flow around all of her attacks and to slip past her defenses to strike at her vulnerable areas. This was not to say the boy was unbeatable. If either genin managed to pin him down, they could then batter through his guard to strike him. It was just exceedingly difficult to do. Finally, the time came for the 3 genin to face Kakashi. Kakashi had decided that they would replicate the bell test, this time with 3 bells. After a brief whispered conference, they moved into a triangle formation with Naruto and Sasuke in the front and Sakura in the back on support. Sasuke quickly engaged the one-eyed Jounin with taijutsu, hoping to grab his attention. Naruto hung back to guard Sakura while she readied a genjutsu. Kakashi smiled while blocking and dodging Sasuke's attacks. This was what he was hoping for. The forced separation his team had endured made them appreciate each other more. The Kopinin opted to go on the offensive. Grabbing Sasuke's right leg as he went for a side kick, he then reached out, snatched the boy by the front of his shirt, and tossed him over his shoulder. Kakashi then headed towards Sakura only to be intercepted by Naruto, who stood in his way with 2 kunai held in a downward grip. Kakashi smiled and launched a kick at Naruto only for him to duck and roll towards his legs. Kakashi leaped to the side, having seen how quickly the violet-eyed blonde could maneuver that way. Instead of pursuing, Naruto jumped up and threw the 2 kunai at his teacher. Kakashi readied his own kunai to block but instead jerked to the side when he noticed the tags wrapped around the handles of the flying projectiles. Sure enough, as they passed him, Kakashi heard a faint crackle and smelled a hint of ozone. So he's already using his shock tags, Kakashi started to move forward when he felt the first warning signs of a genjutsu. Sakura, he thought. He quickly dispelled the illusion before it could take hold but had to dodge a series of fireballs courtesy of Sasuke's Phoenix Immortal Fire technique. In the midst of the barrage, Kakashi lost track of Naruto until he felt a tug at his belt. Damn it, I almost had all 3. Kakashi looked over to see Naruto standing holding one of the bells. The boy tossed it to a beaming Sakura, who promptly tucked it into her pouch. Sasuke circled back around towards his team, but Kakashi could see the smirk still on his face. They had every right to be proud. The last time none of them had been able to get a bell, but this time using teamwork they had actually managed it. Kakashi tilted his head to the side as he eyed his students. Don't get cocky. It's not over yet, he replied. Going on the offensive, Kakashi dashed toward the trio, scattering them. Naruto jumped at him with a spinning back kick, which Kakashi blocked. Naruto contorted his body, twisting around to elbow the Jounin. Kakashi caught the elbow and swung Naruto around, sending him hurtling into Sasuke, who had just finished the hand seals for a grand fireball. Both boys went tumbling as Kakashi searched for Sakura. When he saw that she was not in the clearing, he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Sakura crawled out of the bushes where she had hidden after the attack. She hated hiding, but they had agreed that should they be separated, it was best for her to take cover. Sakura went to check on the two boys as they untangled themselves. Where did he go? Naruto looked around but could not find him. Be careful, he could be anywhere, Sasuke replied. They regrouped and started towards the forest. Sasuke had his Sharingan active, hoping to pick up some trace of their sensei. As they moved, Naruto looked around and could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. Suddenly his eyes widened and he called out, "Scatter!" No sooner had he spoken when two hands burst from the ground and grabbed Sakura by the ankles. The girl was yanked down into the ground until only her head was visible. Kakashi erupted from the ground and moved to attack the boys. Naruto pulled out two kunai while Sasuke readied some shuriken. Naruto moved in first, striking out as he tried to circle around the older nin and force him away from his vulnerable teammate. Sasuke launched 3 shuriken at Kakashi's legs to try to hinder his movements. Kakashi leaped and kicked out, both dodging the shuriken and nailing Naruto in the gut. The boy rolled to absorb the impact but still had trouble catching his breath. Sasuke went for another grand fireball that seemed to engulf the man, but he was quickly put on guard when all he heard was a pop. Meanwhile, Naruto dug Sakura out of the ground and they joined their other teammate. He's not messing around this time, is he? Both boys shook their heads at the girl's question. They looked around and walked on carefully, so as not to be taken by surprise again. As they searched, Sakura gave Naruto a look then asked, "Hey Naruto, how did you know he was underground?" Naruto halted shortly before he answered. "As part of my training I've been learning to become more in tune with my surroundings. I felt a slight shift in the ground and since we are in the middle of the forest, the only reason for that would be if something or someone were burrowing underneath us. I didn't know it was him for sure but better safe than sorry." Sasuke would not admit it but he was mildly impressed with his analysis. The genin stopped as they came to a river. Naruto started to speak but was cut off when Sakura held up her hand. "Wait, there is a genjutsu here." Naruto looked at her strangely, but shrugged it off. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and sure enough, where there had appeared to be a river there was instead a large ditch crisscrossed with nets. Had they kept going they would have fallen right in and been trapped. "Looks like you found my little trap." "Not bad." Kakashi leaped out of the tree he was in and went for Sakura. Naruto intercepted him and tried to keep his attention. Sakura hurled kunai at him, while Sasuke used the Phoenix Immortal Fire technique. Naruto almost snatched a bell as the man dodged the barrage. Similar scenarios played out over the next 2 hours. The 3 genin would hunt for their sensei, and he would ambush them then escape when they regrouped. They had only been able to get one more bell by the time they finished. The 3 sat on the ground in the shade of a tree with Sakura healing any injuries they received. Sasuke and Sakura were tired but both were annoyed to see that Naruto appeared fresh and ready to go. Kakashi was proud of his students and told them as much. "Good job you 3. Despite your long separation your teamwork is actually better than before." "Sakura, good job supporting these 2. I know it is hard to play backup but you did well." "Sasuke and Naruto, I like how you both moved to defend Sakura. As the team medic it is vital that she be protected. If either of you are injured she can heal you but if she is injured who will heal her? Also Naruto, great job trying to keep my attention on you while Sasuke used his ninjutsu, although I would switch it up a bit. I know your style is better suited for keeping an opponent of balance but you don't want to get too predictable. Let Sasuke engage a little more often to mix things up. Sasuke, good work keeping your team out of your line of fire. Your use of your jutsu was much more tactical than before. You 3 did better than I expected. Now how about I treat you to lunch?" Naruto heartily agreed, although he was disappointed that they chose not to get ramen. Over the next week, Team 7 followed a similar pattern. They would meet in the morning and spar for an hour. Afterwards, Kakashi would run them through a training scenario. One day it would be to track him down, the next it would be to escape and evade him for an extended amount of time. They practiced moving with an incapacitated member and protecting something while Kakashi tried to steal it. All in all, the Jounin was satisfied with their ability. The following week was devoted to sparring, improving their individual skills and developing team strategies. Sakura focused on combining her genjutsu and developing one of her own. Sasuke worked on increasing the speed of his hand seals and practicing his taijutsu without his Sharingan. Naruto worked on his accuracy with throwing weapons and worked on his seals. Seeing him work on his seals led the other 2, mainly Sakura, to ask him about his training. While Naruto refused to give details, he did promise to provide his team with storage scrolls and explosive notes, should they need them. This gave Sakura an idea for the genjutsu she was working on, though she was unable to complete it by the week's end. That Friday after training, Kakashi called his students together and handed each of them an application. "These are applications to the Chunin exams. I have decided to nominate you 3 for promotion." All 3 looked as if they were excited but Kakashi could tell something was off with Naruto. Kakashi continued, "This will be good experience for you. You will be able to test your skills against the best genin the other villages have to offer." Sakura looked at the Jounin then asked, "So do you really think we can pass or is this just for training?" Kakashi looked at all 3 but directed his response to his recently returned pupil. "Don't misunderstand me, this test will be dangerous. It is not uncommon for applicants to lose their lives. But I have faith in each of your skills and I believe that you are more than capable of passing. If I didn't, I would not have nominated you." As he finished, he gave Naruto a pointed look. Naruto gave his teacher a slight smile and look of appreciation. He had received the message. You can do this, I believe in you. That said, it is your decision whether or not to compete. Each of you has to choose for yourself. Should you decide to enter the exam, report to room 301 at the academy on Monday before 4 p.m. Take the weekend off to rest and make your decision. The three watched as he shined away. Each of the genin was engrossed in their own thoughts. Finally, a real test. Now I can see how far I have come and how far I have to go before I can avenge mother, father, and the rest of the clan. You will pay Itachi, just wait. This is my chance. I can prove I am not weak. I can prove that I can be a true kunoichi, and maybe Sasuke-kun will see that I am worthy. And maybe now I can protect my team instead of sitting on the sidelines and watching their backs. Sasuke-kun, Naruto, you can count on me. Get it together, Baka. This is what you have been training for. Kakashi-sensei, Gigi, Akasame-sensei, they all believe in me. I will not let them down. I will not fail. I am Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage of Konoha. Watch me. I am going to rock this exam. Believe it. The three genin looked at each other and nodded. They had made up their minds and each could see the other's resolve. When Monday came, they knew that they would not be alone because they were a team and together nothing could stop them. The three genin packed up to return home. Naruto watched from the side as Sakura went shyly over to Sasuke. Hey Sasuke-kun, since we have some free time, would you like to go out with me? Sakura waited hopefully for his reply. Sasuke gave the girl a beleaguered look. No. Why don't you concentrate on improving instead of asking me out? I had thought you had given up since you haven't asked me out in a while, but I see I was mistaken. We all have more important things to focus on. Having said that, the sullen Uchiha took his leave. When Naruto saw the crestfallen look on Sakura's face, his first instinct was to rail at the boy for being such an ass. However, Naruto had not forgotten his lessons. Instead, he approached